Stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing peaches until the sun lights. Summer shooter beam so bright. Master hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast Season 2, Episode 2. We got a banger show for you guys today. What were we talking about? That Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. We haven't really even talked about it, despite it being announced. We got lots of predictions and conversations around that. We call it early predictions because in like 2 months, there could be leaks and other things happening, and it all changes the week before the show when we give like our final, like, this is what we really think is going down. And then we have a podcast on April 2nd that we'll find out that we were wrong about everything. But then we have real stuff to talk about, so that'll be nice. We also will be talking about today some crazy stuff going on with PlayStation, Microsoft, and some pretty heavy indications that Sony might actually be a big supporter of Switch 2 in the future. So that's pretty wild there to consider the fact that these are three competitors, and now everything might just be on Nintendo, which is pretty wild. So we'll get to that as well. We have some other topics to squeeze in there too. Some stuff dealing with the Pokemans out there. And I don't even know. There's the last topic's a dealer's choice. I have no idea what the hell it is. So we'll find out if we get to it. That being said, let's go around and introduce everyone. First, we got to introduce our guest. First time ever. The Sandstorm Show or something like that. Sandstorm McDowell. How you doing?
Sir. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good. You want to introduce yourself to everyone? Like what your channel is?
Absolutely. So I'm Sandstorm McDowell, if I can say my name right. I host the Sandstorm Podcast, the Stormcast, every Saturday at 7 o'clock, where we talk about gaming like this. We also have other podcasts where we talk about anime and entertainment and music, but mostly gaming. You can find some individuals that you may know there. Shadow Fox, as well as Mr. T, Terminator Juice. The whole Winging It podcast and the whole Joe podcast. So yeah, we have great fun, a lot of laughter. I know I don't want to shout him out too much, but I know Risky came from here over to my channel.
Makes the rounds.
Yes. So he's on there to get made fun of. That's basically why he's still there. So yeah, that's my channel.
Awesome, man. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Doing.
You're just doing?
Yeah. It's been a long day. So,
by the way, if you guys like how Eric's looking today, he's crispy. He's on a new camera.
Well,
it's new for you.
New to me.
New to you. Yeah. First time he's not on a webcam. So
yeah, right.
Look at that. He's looking all nice over there. Andrew Collette, welcome back.
Hey, I am still on a webcam, but hopefully a couple more weeks I'll be in a more suitable environment. But no, things are going good here. Just the grind. January, we're all just grinding through life right now. And it's good.
Yeah. Remember what you said. You got a compliment last week.
Yeah, that was really nice. I'm all substance, but no good background. I'll take that any day. I don't care about the background.
That's what matters. That's what matters. Well, I mean, maybe the background's AI generated, guys. I don't know. You don't know.
True.
It does look a little fake on the sides.
You do never see it move.
Yeah, that is true. Thunderstash Gaming.
What's up, everybody? Busy week, as always. Yeah, January, just grinding away. Working on some demo playtests that I got, some early demos that I'll be putting out next week.
Hell yeah.
When the embargo's up. So I'm excited about that. One of them is for sure will be on Switch 2.
Nice.
I like that. That's sounding insider information-y.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Right. As you know who I'm at this point, I'm Nintendo Prime, host of the show. I'm also on a brand new camera. And one thing I like about this camera, forget about the lens, like it's cool because it can like do bokeh in the background. I usually can't do that. But look at the colors of my lights, the orange and the blue. It's finally looks orange and blue, like the Joy-Cons. Then people argue that the Joy-Cons for Switch 2 are actually salmon.
I mean,
And I'm
be
like,
fair-
I don't have a
fair,
salmon setting back there, guys. I tried. I went through all the light colors. There's no salmon setting.
let's put it this way: the light that's right here is the same one that's on Nate's screen. Mine looks yellow. His is orange.
Yeah.
It's actually orange.
The color here is accurate.
Yes.
The color on Eric's is not.
Right.
I just thought you guys chose two different colors. That's
Yeah, look at that. See, it's further proof. See, we're not in the same room. The rooms don't even look the same.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
The rooms don't even
Yeah, right.
Oh man. All right, guys, we're gonna have a hell of a show. First, we gotta go through our topic roulette. I'm going to let me see. Andrew Collette, why don't you go first?
Like I'm just saying what I'm doing, or I'm starting it up.
Yeah. What topic you want to take?
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm gonna take the one about Pokemon Pocket TCG, or no, Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Yeah, perfect. There's no notes.
I got background Pokemon cards, so yeah, I'll take it.
There's no notes on that topic, so it's great that he's taking it. It was his topic. He said, "Hey, we should talk about this." I'm like, "All right, cool." I have no idea what the hell the topic's about, so it's gonna be a fun one. He sent me an image, and I was like, "I don't." Sure.
Yeah, I'll have you post that image later too.
Pokemon card stuff, so it's been a while, and I know there's that app. It's about the app, right?
Right, the newest game from Pokemon.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded that yet, so maybe not. I'm actually making me scared that I don't want to download it. All right, Thunderstash. Which one do you want to take?
I will take. I could take the dealer's choice to have it tie into what I sent you if you want. Have it tie in right at the end and bring it all together.
Bring it all together after the Sony stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, quick. So we got to do the Sony one first. So, Eric, which one do you want?
Yeah, let me get to that page here.
Because we'll have to throw Stash after that one topic.
I guess I'll just go with the way too early predictions for Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April.
The easy topic, perfect.
Well, duh.
But also, the best topic. We get to make predictions about the Switch 2 Direct. It's exciting. Why aren't you saying it with more vigor, more excitement in your voice? Act like you want to talk about it.
The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April. We get to talk about it.
Look, buddy, you need to be more excited over there.
Oh my gosh. All right. And that leaves me with the giant, massive topic about Sony games. I'll say potentially coming to Nintendo Switch. Not announced yet, but there's some stuff out there that's heavily leaning in that direction. So pretty good topic there. All right. Let's go ahead then and get to our first topic, and that is by Andrew Collette. What the hell are we talking about?
Yeah, let's talk about the Pokemon TCG Pocket app. So this game came out, I believe it was October. I started in September because I live in New Zealand, very, very much so. And yeah, not VPN, obviously. I think a ton of people did that. But anyways, trading has finally come to the game months later. We always knew trading was going to have some limitations because you could just re-roll new accounts, get those, when any gacha game, they give you a bunch of free stuff at first to, give you that little buzz to hopefully make you pay later because, it slows down. You get like 2 free packs a day, which is still pretty generous. I will say this app or game, I'll start calling it game. It's the homework, for lack of a better term, is great compared to other gacha games I've played. It's just, you just open 2 packs a day and you've done all your daily goals. Usually other ones, you got to do like minimum battles, attack damage, whatever. So yeah, anyways, the big thing is the trading system, and it sucks, man. Holy cow. I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. So do you have that image by chance, Nate, that you could put up?
I can.
I won't bore everyone with the details, but I think this image.
It's fine.
Well, well, pretty much. Wait, did you say you have it?
I'll grab it.
Okay. So just to explain what you have to do. So every day you get 1 trade credit. Now today they gave you 5. Oh boy. So you can trade 5 times today. But after this, it's 1 time a day, unless you want to pay some moolah to trade. So first off, you're very limited in trading. That's why I thought like it was going to be close to the max of maybe another limitation here or there. But no, you have to discard cards to get trade points depending on the card you want to trade. So this is very much in layman's terms, just this image, this meme. Credit to another Jap on Reddit for mocking this up. But if you want to trade, these are 2 EX cards, rare cards, rarer cards, not the rarest, but they're not easy to get either. And it's a Mew and a Celebi. And pretty much the equivalent is you have to discard 4 of each, both players. So not just one player, because you're also limited to trading the same rarity. Like you can't trade a Mew EX for a common Bulbasaur. They have to be the same rarity type. And then to make that worse, this isn't all you just need, because you can only dust cards that you have more than 2 of. So realistically, if you want to trade for like just using EX cards, you got to have 2 more on your side than what's on screen here. You can do lesser cards, but it takes a lot of dust or points in this game. I say dust because Hearthstone I used to play, but another con is you can't trade the 2 low. You can't dust the 2 lowest rarities. So it's insane. I don't think the community's happy. I wonder if they'll ever lax up on it. I don't see anyone excited. I was going to trade my editor. I'm not into the game anymore. I'm more into the full game because Pokemon TCG Pocket is a much more simplified version. Like for example, in the regular game, you can have 5 Pokemon on your bench. This game, you only have 3. Just a small example. So I dropped it, and I was gonna give my editor all this stuff, but now I'm like, geez, I have to like sacrifice so many of my cards, and now I told my editor no after I promised him for months I was gonna give him my rare cards because I have to give up so much more. But anyways, I just wanted to go around and just ask a couple of things, like if you've even tried Pokemon TCG Pocket, are you liking it? Overall, it's a good app. I think this is like the first real L. Every gacha system's got predatory stuff, so I'm not going to mock it for that, but I think it's pretty generous. But just what you think of this trading system, just at first glance, and how I want to relate this more to Nintendo, and even though it's Pokemon, not Nintendo, technically, is like, what's the best way to submit feedback for this stuff? What's the best way to get Pokemon to change? So I want to start with our guest Sandstorm. What do you think? Have you tried this game? What do you think of the trading system, and what do we do about it?
No, I have not tried the game. Actually, I've had more questions for the actual game before I decided to pick it up. 'Cause really, the most I usually see is people doing like the 1-day thing of picking up their card, their new pack for the week or whatever. The way that you just explained it made me be like, maybe if they fix that first, maybe I will look into that, because that sounds like a lot, especially if you're talking about the EX cards. That seems like a lot. So if I'm understanding, you need like literally like 6 cards of a particular card to trade an EX for another EX. Is that what?
Right. Yeah. You need. Yeah. You need 6. Yeah. To trade a different EX, not included in that 6.
That is wild to me. Like even like I dabble in Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit, and like even doing stuff with that, with ultra rares and stuff like that, gets a little crazy. But you don't need 6 just to get 1. That's wild. But yeah, as far as like what you would do, what I think you would do in order to get those changes made, especially with Pokemon, I don't know, man. That's like telling a rich person, like, here's how you better yourself as a rich person. And they're like, I'm rich. Like, you can tell me and I may take your feedback, but at the end of the day, my numbers are a lot more than your personal opinion. But I think it's more so getting people together to be able to voice those opinions at the same time, right? So yeah. But will I pick it up? Let me know when the next update comes.
Right. Hey, a new update tomorrow. They're already expanding. It's third set.
downloading data right now. I'm trying.
It-
It asked,
It's a good
for
game.
everything about my life. It just asked for me to play this game.
Like I said, this is really, in my opinion, and I think the communities, like I'm not as in touch with the community anymore, but this is the first real L. Like it's a good time. It's especially if you're a casual Pokemon card player. Like I think most people that get this game don't even do it for the battles. Actually, I know that it's not. It's the same as real life. It's people,
Just getting
more
the
people
card.
that buy it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just a digital card collection. I just, they're trying to make it, the similar experience to real life kind of, but this is like nowhere near it. But yeah, I've seen some people in the chat that say, oh, like everything's fun except this, and I'm going to keep playing it. And I think that's totally valid. So let's go to Youth Understash. Have you tried this game? What do you think of the trading system? What do we do about it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I have it. I got it the day it came out. I don't know if I've missed a day for picking packs. Because, obviously it could happen twice a day, right? Is it
Right.
every 12 hours, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so when that goes off, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna open up a pack, see what I get. And so I've been doing that since day one. And so I think I have a lot of really good cards. But I don't play it. And the reason why is because there's a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to just pick the packs because it's like if you don't pick them, you don't get anything, obviously. Like there's no point in even having the app at that point. So I figured, you know what? I'll at least open some packs, see if I can get some good cards. That way, if I do decide to play it, I have cards, right? But a big part of me is like, I don't think I want to play this. There's certain games in life that I've chosen with my, own free will to not play for a specific reason. Like I remember when I moved out to San Diego from Arizona to go manage one of the island's restaurants locations. And a bunch of the guys there wanted me to join the World of Warcraft team, their team, because they found out I game, right?
Ooh.
And I got along with them. I got along with everybody there, right? We talked video games all the time, just like we do. And I had, it was tempting, but I had to say no, because I can't do that. Realistically, I can't do that with the amount of hours that I was working in the restaurant business. I don't have time for that shit. And I don't want to make time for it. And so I kind of look at this Pokemon stuff with the card game in the same way. Because it's like, I have enough time for the Pokemon games, but I don't think I want to make time for the card game too. Because that's going to pull me away from other things, right? Other games that I could be playing. Other games that I should be playing. Which is why I usually just try not to play these games that don't have an end. There's no end in sight. So I just don't think I want to do it. So at the very least, I decided to get cards and just to see what it's like, test it out. That's where I'm at with it. And as I just talked myself through this again, I'm even more confident that I don't want to play it. But for anybody who's playing it, man, like more power to you. I can't get sucked into it. This year is going to be too crazy, and it's like, I don't just own Switch, right? I have all the consoles. I have older consoles. I have the analog 3D pre-ordered. So when that comes in, I'm going to be playing that. I got some other mini consoles I'm playing. I still play a lot of old school retro games. I mean, there's a lot. And when you've been gaming as long as I have, I mean, I'm going to be 40 here soon. Your backlog gets big over the years. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to play this, or should I do the more responsible thing and play a game from my backlog. I mean, I'm halfway there. I'm living on a prayer, man. I'm about to be 40. That's midlife. I only got so much time to play.
Yeah, but you're about to become a man.
That's right. I'm about to be a
Finally.
man. I'm 40. So, not to get any, like philosophical or anything, but that's just how I look at it from the big picture standpoint. But I do follow what's going on. I saw that on Twitter, what you posted earlier about trading the cards now, and I think that's really, really odd, for sure. But it's the Pokemon Company.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they're going to do what they want. It's similar to 2K. Like NBA 2K. I've played a lot of 2K throughout the years. My team. You collect cards in the game. You use the cards. Those are your players. You can evolve the cards just like Pokemon. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But same thing with 2K. They're effing up left and right every year. They don't take feedback from the community. But you guys just saw the top 10 games, right? Game sales for 2025 that was going around social media.
Mm-hmm.
NBA 2K was number 5.
Yep.
This is why they don't care. This is why they don't care. It's going to sell anyways. It was all sports titles, right?
Yeah.
Or not all, but it was like 60-70% sports titles. They're going to sell anyways. And to that point, that's why getting all of those on Switch 2 is such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I find it interesting that you don't want to get hooked on it. Because anytime like a game, I'm dying for any game to just hook me. Because I just gave up I usually do one gacha game at a time, and I just gave up the last one. I've been playing it for a while. And the reason I'm not playing Pokemon TCG Pocket is it has not hooked me. Like the battle system's very light, and it's fine. It's fun, but like, yeah, I just find that interesting. But I totally agree with you at the same time. It's weird. I think both things can be true because, yeah, this year I need time for it, but yeah, I guess it depends on personality too. Because I'm okay if something just takes up my life, but I'm also blessed that I do this full time. Where no, I have to play a game for my channel. Can't play my Gacha game because I gotta play a great Nintendo game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that so many of the games I do play, I end up loving and getting sucked in. But I'm also playing games that, I want to play. So the odds of me buying a game that sucks are very, very low. Unless I know I'm taking a risk. Like last year I bought Turtles Wrath of the Mutants, knowing damn well that it was probably not going to be a good game. But I also wanted to like fall on the sword for everybody. And I let everyone know up front, like, hey, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to review it day 1. So like, just hold. I'll let you know if it sucks. Right? That way you can save your money. So there's rare instances where I'll do that. But otherwise, when I'm like buying a game, I know I'm probably going to like it. If I don't like it, that will be a surprise. Therefore, I'm getting sucked in by all these games that I'm playing every time. Like I'm really loving them. I just need a beginning and end because, it's going to steal time from you.
Yeah.
That's what 2K does.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah. So, it's a fine line, man. Like when it's good, it's good. Like 2020, NBA 2K, 2020, 2021, my team, that was a ton of fun. The COVID years, some good times playing NBA 2K, my team, but it's fallen off since then. So, maybe one day I'll get back into it. Who knows? Maybe with Switch 2, right? Like being able to play it on the go.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's at 60 FPS, which it should be, then maybe I get back in.
For sure. All right, Eric, I want your take on this. Have you played the game at all? What do you think of the trading system? What do we do?
I have not played it at all. So my understanding is if I want to trade you a card, I have to like basically throw away how many other cards. Is that my understanding?
Pretty much, yeah. The equivalent to 4 of those cards.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no,
And you have to have 2 of the same card first because they won't let you dust anything past 2
yeah, no, that's just
or before 2. Yeah.
asinine. It's so stupid. You have a trading card game in real life. Just make it fucking virtual. It's really not that hard. Also, I mean, if you want to have some sort of thing on your tradings, I mean, I guess assign a point value to each card, and then you have to be within, X number of points to be able to trade. So if
They're
wanna
doing that. They just added on that too.
No, well, I mean, I don't understand why you have to trash cards. It just makes no sense to me. If I want to trash cards, I can trash cards, but it just makes absolutely no sense to me why I'm forced to do that.
Yeah.
If I want to trade 40 Rattatas for your, Scyther and you're okay with that, sure. And the points values match up similar enough, who cares? It just seems arbitrary.
Agreed.
Yeah. I get it from their standpoint, but yeah, I'm just surprised how far it goes. That I guess I've stated that, but
yeah.
All right, Nate. I know you've been playing this game for like 2.5 minutes now. So where are you at?
Hey, I got all my
You
introductory.
should still be
packs.
opening packs. No, go. Why are you stopping? Go.
They gave me like 5 packs, like explaining everything, and I'm like, I get it. I open packs, I collect cards, I trade, I battle. I got it. It's not that complicated. There's missions. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. It's not that they're not that complex. That being said, look, I know it's a gacha game. I mean, look, trading card game. Of course, it's gacha, and I can understand gacha for pack opening.
Mhm.
Totally, like that's literally gacha in real life, anyways. When you buy packs, so I get it. And you can have like a system where you want to open packs more packs than waiting every 12 hours. You would spend money and buy tokens, and that's fine. I get it. That makes sense. Why the fuck do we have to trash cards to trade?
No.
I'm sorry. When I trade in real life, do I have to throw cards out so I can trade my Charizard for their Charizard? What are we doing?
Mhm.
It makes no sense. Like that. So these trade tokens, can you buy them? I assume you can buy them.
You can buy them, yeah. But
Yeah.
or you get 1 free a day, and if you want, you can only trade once a day unless you buy more.
The only thing I can think of is they're forcing you to trash cards. I mean, obviously, no one wants to spend money to trade. They're forcing you to trash cards to make your game smaller, so you don't have so many copies of the same card. Like that's still just a bad design. Then,
But-
if that's what you're worried about.
I mean, at that point in time, too, I can choose to, if I wanted to, make it an option that I can actually just throw the cards away.
Well,
I mean, I
that's
can
fine.
throw it away in real life too. I mean,
Well-
don't force me to
But
have
by,
to do
by
it.
the way, you have to understand we're talking about a line of code that changes a number because it's just
I know.
one card,
Oh, I
and
realize
then
it.
there's a number for how many you have.
Oh, I
Like,
realize that.
I feel like there's 3 fundamental things with trading cards that make them fun, especially the Pokemon trading card game. And this is just me back in the day, and then even the TCG game when they had it on Game Boy, and now it's on NSO. Look, collecting and trying to get them all right,
Mhm.
battling and doing your matches, which they simplified it for some odd reason. Why can't it just be normal TCG battles? Why is it like reduced to 3? And I guess for quickness, but who cares?
Well, yeah, there's another app that the competitive side is there for.
Yeah, but that's stupid. They should just have it all in one.
And you can't play that game on the toilet. Otherwise, you're going to be there an hour.
You can just have it all in one. You can literally just have casual mode and then competitive mode. It can all be one app. You don't need multiple apps for this. And that other app is kind of terrible. I don't know if you mess with it much, but
It is terrible. Yeah, I've played it a lot more, like hundreds of hours.
yeah, I've put time into that one, and that sucks. It's just not a good app. This app, at least based on my little bit of using it, actually functions. So that's already a bonus. But the idea of having to like spend money to trade cards I already opened when I spent money to open the cards and get them in the first place doesn't make sense to me. I get that it's such greedy ass gotcha stuff, but I also know that like, hey, what if my kids download this when they get a phone? I don't need them asking me to buy them trade tokens. Trade tokens just shouldn't exist.
Mhm.
Even in the realm of like, oh, we're trying to keep the game balanced. So like, even when you talked about how like, oh, they rank cards, like you can't trade like a Mewtwo for a Charmander or something. Okay, but I can in real life. So what's the matter? Why do you care what I trade? Why does the game care?
I think it's more of a so you can open up like 4 or 5 different profiles and then trade between them and trade like.
Well, when I signed
absolute
up, they
dog
only
turds
let you have
till-
one profile per phone. So if I'm willing to spend
I guess.
enough money to have 1 billion phones,
Well, if you don't trade your phones in when you upgrade, you can go backwards and.
I'm just saying, if
3 or
I'm
4
willing
phones
to,
at
if I'm
home.
willing to have a bunch of phones and put the game on and trade with myself, then who am I hurting anyways? It's just myself. You know what I mean? Like hurting anyone.
Yeah.
So, is there an upgrade system for the cards? Like, if you have a common card, can you get so many to upgrade it into whatever the next stage is, holographic or whatever?
That's interesting you bring that up because so the same dusting thing applies for like it's sparkles. I forget what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to make the card holographic or shiny, or when you play it, it goes whatever.
Okay, because that's like the only logical reason I can see for you needing that many cards.
And that
So
was
people
the
don't
only
cheat it.
reason first. But now you
Okay.
have to make the decision: do you want to make your cards look better, or do you want to trade them?
Yeah, that's
And one more thing, you can't trade. It's like here's a small flex of my my beautiful Pikachu. I can't trade that if it's 3 stars or above. You can't. So the super rare ones you can't even trade.
Why?
Can't even go on eBay and sell it. Come on.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole system's dumb. The rest of the game seems fine from the 2.5 minutes I played it. And I'm sure the battles are fun. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, can I battle now? I have like 16 cards. Like, that doesn't feel like enough for a battle to me.
You need 20. You're almost there.
20? How's even 20?
The question is why do they not give you enough freaking
To start with.
cards to start the game with to be able to battle? That makes no
They
sense.
do. He just got to keep going. Trust me, they give you a good amount at first.
Okay.
I
okay.
might have 20 cards.
Okay.
I might have 20.
It makes absolutely no sense if you have 16 and you need 20.
No, I might have 20. I might have 20.
Oh, boy.
You know what? I will look up right now to tell you. I did everything they're allowing me to do right now without spending money. I clicked on everything. I collected everything. Now, technically, I do have enough like token things to buy more packs, but I don't want to buy packs. Not even with the free tokens.
Wait, why don't you want to buy them with the free tokens?
Because then I'm supporting the system of using tokens to buy shit. Nah, and I'm good.
But like that's what the daily mission is. Like you get 2 a day, like when Thunder was talking earlier. But
It's a day. We call it a day.
you open those 2 a day, and then they give you tokens to get more packs.
No,
So
I don't want.
yeah.
I don't want tokens. I don't like gacha mechanics. It's already gacha because I don't know what I'm getting in each pack.
The reason I defend that is it is the easiest daily quest ever.
I don't
Like
care.
yeah,
I have 27 cards. To be
I
clear,
want to
can
reward that.
battle. I have
Okay.
27 cards, so I can battle.
All right, meet me at the
But
playground
I'm
3.
afraid to get. I'm afraid to get into that right now. I might get
I'm like-
addicted and not paying any attention. to the show.
Because that would just blow my mind. Although I would not put it past them to not give you enough cards
I
to
don't-
battle right
and
away.
People in the chat are laughing at me. I'm like, guys, I don't support gacha token bullshit.
no.
I don't use my free
Yeah.
tokens in any other phone game either. Literally never. I don't support it because all it does is when you run out, it makes you want to spend money to get more.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just not even worry about it. I get what I get for free. And you're like, well, this is free. I'm like, no, it's trying to get you to use the token so you spend money on more tokens.
Mhm.
It's a mind mechanic to get you to spend money. And you could just say, well, just don't spend money. I understand that. But when every game is doing it,
Mhm.
it's really driving you. And then later, I don't know if they're doing this yet, but later they'll tell you, oh, there's a great deal. It's 80% off right now to buy 20 tokens. It's like, stop
You
it.
wish with Pokemon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Pokemon probably not.
Nintendo
And
doesn't
we're throwing parties at my house when they're doing 5% off. We're like, yeah! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Even though the other publishers are, giving me 80% off, but
right.
and now people, why I don't play a lot of phone games because almost all of them have some sort of token system that is required to even play at all.
Yeah.
Even play at all, you have to spend a token. But you get a new one every hour. I don't care. Imagine that you bought a video game and you were told, hey, thanks for spending money on this game. You died? Oh, that sucks. See you in an hour or give me more money. This isn't
Don't
an
give them any
arcade.
ideas.
This isn't an arcade. Okay, I'm not feeding you quarters. Okay. Especially when you might be charging $20 a pop. No, I'm good. Good. By the way, the games that charge $20 a pop are bullshit. Should be $20 for like 1,000 tries, but whatever. It should just be free. I mean, here's the thing. I'll throw it to you like this. Like Fortnite, right? They got their thing. They got their battle passes. They got their coins you can collect and buy things. All right, cool. I absolutely do use the free coins that you can earn while playing. Obviously, to buy skins and stuff that I like. Fine. But I don't need to do any of that to play the game.
Right.
You can play the entire game without ever spending a dime. And it's perfectly enjoyable. You don't miss out on anything other than cosmetics. So like, and they give you free cosmetics on top, which is neat. You just get it for playing. Just like you get Pokemon cards for opening your app once every 12 hours. Like 12 hours. I gotta wait 12 hours for a free item? Jesus. Imagine 12 hours. Why can't I unlock packs for battling? No? Let me guess, I unlock coins that I can use to buy packs.
Yeah, you can battle as much as you want. Sorry, I was just remembering. I didn't want to give false information. But yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, this game is not that limiting. I
was gonna say that's stupid if they give you energy. I hate that.
And I am happy to say that at least I feel Gacha games every year that goes by, it's getting better and better just because of the competition, and that's great.
Sure. And I know I see people in the chat getting a little upset with me, but this is a free app. I'm like, I get that it's a free app, and so is Fortnite. And I can play the entire game without spending a dime. This game requires that you have to open packs in order to be better at it to play the game. And those packs, you can only open one every 12 hours. Fortnite doesn't tell me I can only play a match every 12 hours to get my stuff. And I understand that like you can play your matches as much as you want, but actually how good you are at them is determined by the cards you have.
That's true.
So like it's actually luck based. It's a luck based game. It's not like Pokemon TCG in real life where I can build a deck. I buy the cards that I want and can build a deck. I know you can buy packs, but you can also just build a deck. And a lot of places will let you use cards that you maybe don't own but are official cards when you join the tournament. You can just make them. They'll let you use them. They don't care because it's about the game. It's not about whether you actually have the card. So to me. And again, I'm fine with the way that it works in real life. Like I get buying packs. I get it. I'm totally okay with the gacha with the buying packs, even though I'm never going to support it because already the pack itself's a gacha. But it's just, that's why I said when I compare it to Fortnite, it's different. There's no advantage for spending money in Fortnite.
It's mainly like shooters. Why is it only shooters doing it?
Yeah, well, I think because what happens is they get so popular that a majority of the audience doesn't spend money. There's enough that do, so it doesn't matter in the end. There's tons of people that don't spend any money in Fortnite,
for sure.
Spend any money in Roblox, and you play everything. But there's enough that do. So and that's the thing. The Pokemon company too is always gonna anyway they can get money out of you. That's just what they're gonna do. It's just always been that.
Well, they need it. They're hurting. So
they're hurting so bad.
Buy your packs today, everyone.
Yeah, buy your packs today before it no longer exists. Yeah. Man, you guys better go all turn on those Pokemon Go apps. Niantic's going out of business,
I'd be happy about that one.
They have been screwing around with that a lot. Kind of ruining it. All right. Did everyone get a chance to say something?
Yeah, we went around. Right. I think we got our points across.
All right. Let me see. The one time has to go before Stash. So then let's see. We'll go Eric. Next. Yeah, Eric next.
All right. We are talking about our way too early predictions for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April. Man, for me, I don't know. I do. This is Switch. I have a feeling that right now for me, they're going to show off, their opening day games, and then like the UI, how things are run. If they made any improvements to the App Store, things like that, and then any sort of gimmicks that they have. If they, we're assuming the mouse functionality, things like that, and then I've been on record saying that I don't know if we're going to see a whole bunch of games or anything like that. I'm thinking that there's going to be another Direct that will actually bust out a whole bunch of games for the first quarter of the Switch 2's life. But they'll at least give you the games that they're going to have opening day in this Direct. That's where I'm at. Andrew, what are you thinking?
Can I go?
Oh
Can I
yeah,
not go first. I'll go second. Sorry. I'll explain why. Sorry.
No, all good.
Oh, Eric did his hosting thing and got shut down.
No. We're good. Sandstorm, you want to go?
Yeah, man. I can give you the real, and I can give you what I really want. So, the real. So they're gonna come out on stage. They're going to say this is the Nintendo Switch 2. They're going to give you the price point, and they're going to give you the date right off the bat so we can get our groans and our moans out the way, or our hoorays and shouts out the way. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to get, I think I agree with you, Eric. You're going to get the whole mouse preview and maybe some other little tidbits. I don't know if they'll ever talk about DLSS. That just doesn't sound like Nintendo. I think you'll just find out and you'll be like, wait a minute, that's what that is. Like, but they won't come out and say it. Maybe they will, just doesn't really sound like them to me. You'll get a sleuth of the third party people like, yeah, we're here day one. It was us. We were the ones. Yeah. We've been here this whole time, and Elden Ring is coming, and we shout, and all the other games that are supposed to come. That's the end of my reel. Then I think in my own predictions, shout out to Jack. I don't think we'll get an actual view of it, but I just need a little side pan of Donkey Kong, and they'd be like 3D Donkey Kong coming, and that's it. I don't need anything else. You've told me everything I know, but I think we'll also get a little more on the Mario Kart, since that was the first one that we saw, what the name is, blah blah blah. Not too deep into it. I don't think you'll get the mechanics. I think you'll just get more of what we got, and then they'll be like, thank you, and bow out.
Wow, short and sweet.
Yeah.
So not a blowout is what he's predicting. He's predicting.
Nah. Why give you everything? Why give you everything when you've already been just gnawing at the bone to get something?
Because 2 days later people are going hands on. That's why. Literally it's 2 days later.
That is very true. But
it's fine. You think it's basically going to be another teaser?
Yeah. Come
it's a
to the
direct
show.
That's 10 minutes long, and it's just another teaser.
Come to the show. You'll see what you get. Come to the show.
Yeah. Will they at least give us a release date?
Yeah. They're going to start off with release date and price point.
Okay.
That I think, just like with the original Switch, they're going to knock that out the way. So you can cry and moan all you want at the beginning, but by the time you get to the end, you'll see all the games and you'll be like, oh, it's okay, I guess.
It's okay, I guess. All right. I'll let you off the hook now. Who's next, Eric?
I'm ready now, Eric. You can put me last as punishment. I understand.
I feel like he was searching. Were you Loki?
Andrew, I think you should go.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I think your body's ready.
I was looking up the answers.
He's the contact at Nintendo.
He was texting Doug Bowser quick to just see what's up.
Well, when I saw this topic, I was like, oh crap, I gave all my predictions 2 weeks ago. I got nothing new to say. So I went back to the episode, went to the YouTube transcript, and I copy and pasted my answers. So
there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll keep it short and sweet because in case, but just my thoughts have not really changed. I think I'm going to talk about more of the games because I think I'm clueless when it comes to the other stuff. I think we'll get price and release date and all that, pre-orders, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I do think, as far as games go, we're gonna finally get freaking Mario Baseball. It's about dang time. It's the only Mario sports game we haven't got
besides basketball.
Sluggers.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Well, basketball was kind of, what was it? It was the 3v3 game.
3v3.
Yeah.
Beautiful character models.
Didn't Square help with that, or did Square develop that? Co-develop?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was odd, man.
Yeah, that is the word for it. And I think we're gonna hear about the Mario. Well, actually, okay, this my mind has changed here. Is last time I did say we're gonna talk about the Mario 40th anniversary. I think that's gonna be February now because it'd be kind of weird to talk about it after Mario Day. So, yeah. I am also standing by that. I love the hype. I love the optimism, but people are like honestly bringing up 15 first-party titles, and that's not going to happen this year. I predict 7 at the most, 1 a month. I think that's been a solid strategy they're doing. And Mario 40th will be one of those months that will run on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. I talked a lot about the anime section, that we're actually going to get good anime games. Nate's favorite games, gacha games, like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail. They won't have Zenless Zone Zero, which I know Nate's very upset about, but it's okay because we'll also get Infinity Nikki, Final Fantasy VII Remake. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get the more niche ones. Like people are really. I mean, I think I know there's been leaks and stuff, but I'm gonna stick with my gut here. The more niche ones like Star Fox and F-Zero, we're not gonna see this year. We're gonna wait till the install base gets a bit bigger. I mean, you got to pick 7 titles for the first year of the Switch. I can't see them picking either of them, Sandstorm.
Okay.
That's my logic. I want it. I want to be wrong so freaking bad, especially with actually, both of them. I say Star Fox because we're already getting Mario Kart this year. I would like F-Zero to have its own racing year. But and then we'll get the reminders if they're not announced, like Pokemon Legends EA and Kirby Robobot. But that's how I'm feeling about the April Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct.
I like it.
Stash, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. All right, everyone, get ready. There's a lot here. There's a lot to discuss.
Of course there is. Go.
Buckle it
Do
in.
it.
Buckle it in.
Buckle up.
Strap it up.
All right, so let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. Mario Kart 9 is obviously a launch game. Metroid Prime 4 is a cross-gen launch game. It has to be, because it has to take advantage, I've said this a million times, of the Switch 1 install base and the Switch 2 launch hype in order to get Metroid as a franchise into that next stratosphere, which it has to do. Also, the other reason it will be a launch title is because they will showcase the mouse controls with Metroid Prime 4. This is a great showcase title for the Direct. There will be one other first-party title, and it's going to be a gimmick game, like 1-2 Switch. Whatever the gimmick's going to be, don't really care. So those will be the 3 first-party games from Nintendo. Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4, cross-gen, and whatever the gimmick is. Then we're going into Elden Ring Complete Edition. I 100% expect this. It will obviously have the DLC. You have to get this out at launch because on top of that, Switch 2 will be getting Elden Ring Night Rain. And I do want to bring it to everyone's attention. This game's coming out on PS4, base PS4. So this is 100% coming to Switch 2. Let's talk Assassin's Creed. We will see Assassin's Creed. Likely Mirage. I think that's what's being worked on for it. You can take this one to the bank. Just Dance 2025. Take it to the bank.
I heard it's coming out on the Wii also.
Yeah, there's going to be a Wii version as well, for sure, every year. I do expect that, though. Flight Simulator. No Pilot Wings, but we're going to get Flight Simulator. I could definitely see that happening. Also, it's a really good showcase, once again, for mouse controls.
Also, of note, Flight Simulator mostly runs on the cloud. People that didn't know that. The game itself actually mostly runs on the cloud. Like, it's not a cloud game, but because of the the realism of the world and how expansive it is, because it's the world we live in.
Mhm.
It mostly runs on servers. So
Oh, I thought it was obvious you would be flying in the clouds, but
Oh, nice. That's good. Yeah, I definitely see that though. The Halo Master Chief Collection. I expect that to come out on Switch too. I think about how impactful it would be to launch a Nintendo console with Halo. And it's just like, you got to get there at launch just for that headline alone. You know what I mean? Like the flagship, old school flagship, because it's not the same anymore, but the old school flagship Microsoft IP launching day one on Nintendo. That's freaking cool.
Mhm.
I think they like the sound of that as much as we probably do. Sea of Thieves. I expect that. I think that can make a lot of money on Switch too. And it was supposed to come to Switch. It was originally announced for Switch 1. Do you guys remember that?
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think
I
that
don't,
comes to
actually.
Switch too.
nice.
And also, how cool would it be to have a Rare title at launch again? Because that is by Rare.
Yeah, that would be great.
Minecraft. Again, mouse controls. Great game to showcase that. Back to Ubisoft. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope Collection. Think it's a good chance it could be at launch, if not its launch window. One that I'm really hoping is a launch title. And it's for reasons we've discussed on the podcast. I actually retweeted it last week with the eye emojis when I saw the release date for it. When I saw it was May 15th. And I saw that's a Thursday. And Microsoft usually releases their games on a Tuesday. And that's Doom the Dark Ages.
Mhm.
Immediately, when I saw May 15th, I'm like, hold up. That's right when Nintendo goes on break for like almost 3 weeks from the Nintendo Switch 2 Experience Tour. That window right there is the big break.
Mm.
And as you know, the Switch 2 Experience Tour is going to all of the places first where the Switch 1 launched first. Then there's that big gap for almost 3 weeks. And then they move on to the other territories where they launched Switch 1 later. Like South Korea. They launched it in December 2017, 9 months later. Hong Kong didn't release till December 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So that window right there gives me a lot of hope, because it's like, Microsoft, why would you suddenly decide to release your first party title on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday? So that's why I'm hoping May 15th could possibly be a launch date, which I'll get to. All right. Another title. Guys, I go back and forth because there's 2 fighting games I could see launch on the Switch. That's Tekken 8 and that's Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter is a big one for me because how many times has Street Fighter launched on a Nintendo console and done extremely well? 3DS did excellent. The Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD for the Switch. Old game. Sold gangbusters. We need some fighting games. I don't know if we're going to get Tekken 8 and Street Fighter, but I think we get one of them.
Also to note, Nintendo got to reveal the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, not the others.
Yeah, that is a good point, and that's a huge deal for the old heads like us.
Mhm.
For sure.
Call of Duty. I don't know if it's going to be there at launch. Personally, I think it would probably be better if they launched it with the Halo Master Chief Collection and launched Call of Duty when it releases in November. Start with the first new Call of Duty. I think that would be the most logical business decision. Otherwise, you could end up having Metroid Prime and Halo and Call of Duty all on day one. That's a bit much. So hopefully they think this one through. I do expect Madden. I expect EA Sports College Football. And a big one that, again, this is going to show off the mouse controls. That's The Sims. The Sims. No doubt. That's got to come. EA said they're going to be bringing the support. That is a great way to bring back, because, again, we have My Sims on Switch, but we don't have, and that just came out, by the way, in October. We need like The Sims 4, the current Sims. And that would be a perfect game for it. I don't know if we're going to get 2K25 at launch just because, the new one will be coming out in August. Usually comes out the end of August or the first week in September. So we may or may not get basketball at the start. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Again, let me remind everyone, this game is on PS4 as well. Base PS4. I fully expect RE4. Baldur's Gate 3. Again, another great game for mouse controls. Diablo 4. Again, another great game for mouse controls. Red Dead Redemption 2. Probably been saying that for a year. Fully expect it. That'll be the one game from Rockstar at launch. Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That will be a launch title. We will get Rebirth, and we will get the third game in the series. And again, I'd like to remind everybody that Rebirth is on the Steam Deck. And it runs good. It's coming to Switch too, for anyone who doesn't think it can run it. I'm going to talk a little indie. We're going to get Hades 2. I fully believe that Hades 2 will come out of early access and will be a launch title for Switch 2. I think we will finally hear about Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yes.
I think it's coming to Switch 2 for the
Get
launch.
the clown makeup.
Hallelujah.
I think it's coming. I really do. This is the best possible time for them to release this game. If you want to capitalize, have your game there at launch. Honestly,
Isn't it crazy? Out of all the games you said, this might not be your opinion, but that's the most unlikely one. Out of all the games you just said, and that's the unlikely one. That's
a game
insane.
that I played a demo of at E3 2019.
Right.
On
crap.
Right.
I have footage of it
crazy.
on my channel, and that's the one that's unlikely 6 years later.
Well, I do have one unlikely game in here that I'm going to talk about that will be teased. But I hope everyone's writing these down because there's going to be a lot of right answers here, okay?
Receipts. Get the receipts out.
Ruffy and the Riverside for another indie game that will be there. Yuka Replayley. These are games that we know. Gotham Knights by WB, Warner Brothers. The game did not sell great. I think it will be coming to Switch 2 to try and recoup some sales. Konami. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater will no doubt be coming to Switch 2. And need I remind everyone about Metal Gear coming to the 3DS?
Excuse me.
We did get that on the 3DS. That's definitely coming to Switch 2. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake. That will be getting announced this year. I do think that comes to Switch 2. Another game that needs to recoup money, because actually sales just came out for it today. Or player numbers. So there's what is it? 35 million Game Pass subscribers. Roughly. 4 million of them have played Indiana Jones. This game's free to you guys. Free. And 4 million have played it. This is why it's so important that that game comes to PS5 in the spring like it is. The DLC's coming out in the spring. Perfect way to either put a complete edition on Switch 2 or get it on Switch 2 and you can sell more DLC. I expect that. I played it on Series S. It ran perfectly fine. 60 FPS, no problem. Fantasy Life. Professor Layton. We get an update on that. Visions of Mana. Haven't talked about Sega much. I think we get Persona 3 Reload. And think there's a good chance we get a new Super Monkey Ball launch. Because that is tradition. It's a great party game. And Monkey Ball's been there a lot for Nintendo over the years, ever since GameCube. And I also think we see Fallout 4. Okay, as far as the console presentation, console/OS, we're going to get an NSO update. We all got the email, right? From Nintendo that said look forward to some exciting updates that we have to share with you later this year.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew that meant that we're going to get those updates when the big Switch 2 blowout is. I do think we get GameCube. I think there will be a GameCube controller that you can get from the shop. Again, we saw a lot of those parts being ordered for a GameCube controller months ago, probably 6 months ago. I think there's a reason why. I think the GameCube controllers are already made. They're sitting in a warehouse. They're ready to roll. DS is a possibility. But I will say for NSO for sure, I feel real confident about GameCube and Sega Dreamcast. I feel pretty confident about Dreamcast coming to NSO. This is the time to come to the NSO on Switch 2. I think they'll touch more on the mouse functionality. And they're going to probably show us some things we haven't thought of yet. And we're like, oh, wow, this is going to be crazy. So again, like we knew about it because of leaks.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo's going to show us ways that we never thought of, which they're very good at doing. So we're going to see that in the presentation. I think they'll kind of gloss over the OS. We'll be able to see that it's a lot more improved. It looks better. They may show us the eShop maybe, or at least say something about how it runs better, but they will not admit that anything's wrong with it because that is not how Nintendo rolls. They're not going to admit defeat with the eShop. As far as price, you know, I feel confident in that the pricing will be between $349 and $449.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on if they're going to do 2 SKUs or not, right? Like if they do a Mario Kart bundle, I could see it going as high as $449, but I really believe they want to keep that at $399 if it's bundled with Mario Kart. And the base console would be $349. If there's just one SKU, I think it's $399. So that's why there's some variance there. I do think we get a price drop on the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, the Switch family of systems at the same time. Obviously, they can't be priced that close together. The original Switch and the Switch 2. So I think those get a price drop. Again, launch date, I think it's going to be May 15th or May 23rd. Again, I already mentioned why I was saying those dates. There's a couple other factors too, though, with the May 15th or 23rd. I think it is probably important to get it out before Memorial Day weekend, before people start traveling and going out of town. I think July is too late for the summer. Those aren't good. They're not good months for retail spending. June's not great, not terrible, not great. May's a lot better. April, May is a lot better. That's why I lean towards May for retail spending. Also, because all the summer game shows are in the beginning of June. It would be good to have your console out by then. And I think right after it's over, pre-orders will open. Either same day or they'll say they open tomorrow. Just depends on what time it's going to go down at, but be ready to pre-order. Now, these are the not launch games from Nintendo, and I'll rapid fire them. New 3D Mario will be shown, not a launch game. It will be the big flagship title for the holiday. Something Zelda, possibly a very early teaser or a Legend of Zelda 3D remake. Ocarina of Time. Animal Crossing, quick little tease just to feed the Animal Crossing fans.
Mhm.
To that way they go and buy a Switch too, but it ain't coming out yet. I doubt we see a tease yet for Smash Brothers. It's possible, but it would be a very small tease if we do. Something Kirby will be very lightly teased, and when I say tease, guys, I'm talking sizzle reel. Luigi's Mansion 4, Fire Emblem, 3D Donkey Kong.
Thank you.
Yes. Star Fox, F-Zero. I threw one in here as a joke, but I'm still hoping Wave Race. And here's the one tease. Here's the one tease that I think would make everyone shit their pants. You guys ready for it? Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, he said Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay,
Right-
I rescind
right,
my
yeah.
earlier statement. That's the new unlikely one, not Silk Song.
See? That's why I told you. I said there's one for sure that you're going to say is more unlikely. But I think that will cap off, and everyone will walk away and be like, "Oh my god, Nintendo and Microsoft." They're going to be like, "Look at all the games that Microsoft is bringing to Switch 2. Like their relationship must be so great." And then we're going to get to the end, and we're going to see a tease for Banjo. And everyone's going to be like, "What?"
You have now officially replaced Mike Odyssey from the old show in the play. I mean, before you even got to that, you practically felt like they're blowing their entire load for the next 3 years in this thing. This is insane. That would be the most insane showcase ever.
How do you follow up with
There's
that
only
in the
3
summer?
launch titles though from Nintendo.
Sure.
That's not a lot.
There's like a billion third parties and indies.
I mean,
Yeah, but if you look at it, each studio wants to get
Yeah.
probably 1 or 2 games at launch.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you really have to look at it that way.
I see. I don't look at it. I look at it as they don't want to because they don't want to all compete against each other at launch.
Ubisoft is going to be there. They always are.
Sure.
They have to make money, otherwise they're going to close.
Sure. Sure.
They're ready to close, man.
Yeah.
They have to make back as much money as they
They're
can.
ready to sell, to be fair.
EA wants a piece of the pie now. Microsoft is going to be there in full force. Bandai Namco has their own studio for Nintendo. They're going to be there. Rockstar is only bringing 1 game. Square Enix is only bringing 1 game.
That's it.
Like literally, I looked at this list.
Launch window, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
launch window.
Well, that's what I was saying. These are launch games and launch window. That's what I said in the beginning.
Okay. I was like, if these are all day one, like this is not only is that like the
No.
best launch lineup ever, they're also going to cannibalize each other and no one's going to buy half of it.
Yeah,
Everybody's
no,
fighting in the.
I think they need to all be very strategic about this. If
Yeah.
if I were Nintendo, I would be working together with some of these studios, like possibly conference calling in with the higher ups from each studio, bring 1 delegate. Let's figure out how we're going to roadmap this so everyone can make as much money as possible. That's how you do it. That's win-win situation.
All right. All right.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Follow up with that.
Yeah, it is your turn.
All right. Let's come back down to earth a little bit over here. All right? I'm between Sandstorm over there and Stash right now. This ain't gonna be as wild as Stash things, but it's not gonna be a little 10-minute teaser either. Because we're gonna be games in person 2 days after the show. We're gonna have the release date. We're gonna have the price. The hype's gonna be wild. Do I think this is some like 2-hour event like they did for Switch in January? No, because it's not. It's a direct. It's not an in-person giant presentation because they're doing that by having fans literally come out and play it in person. They're not going to do this in-person event like they did last time where they have all the media come out and it's this big stage show. Clearly, that's not their plan. Their plan is to do a pre-recorded, pre-put together direct. And it's going to be a big direct, though. Like, if you think back to their bare minimum, like their E3 days, their digital presentations, it's going to be 45 minutes minimum. It's going to be a long direct. I could see them pushing an hour just because they're going to be showing hardware stuff and OS stuff probably in there. But for starters, I'm expecting at least a 40-minute, maybe an hour long. I don't think they're going to go for the 2 hours, although I would be all that would make my fucking day if it's a 2-hour event. I'm all for it. But I think because they're calling it a direct, everyone knows their biggest directs are usually about 40, 45 minutes. Maybe they throw an extra 10 or 15 on just because it's not just all games this time, right? So yeah, I do think that they're going to show the operating system finally. We're going to see that. We're hopefully going to see massively improved eShop stuff. I don't know if we will, but I would love them to show. They don't even have to explain it because Nintendo's not one to explain these kind of things. Just show an eShop. Show someone going on the eShop looking for a game, and whatever game they find is a surprise game announcement for the thing, right? But then all of a sudden in it, they buy the game, they show someone playing it, and then it comes back and they drop a review. They're bringing back the Wii U 5-star. You can go in and drop reviews to help user rate games, to help people sort through and find games. And they even show, like, they'll drop down in the search list where you can search by user review. That would be sick. Okay, so that alone, like, without even explaining the eShop's better, that would just show the eShop is better. Now, what else is going to be improved about it? Yeah, that's for us YouTubers to nitpick about and see what else looks better in it. But I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time on that. That's going to be like a quick thing, like a transition to a game sort of thing, where they'll go through the eShop to transition to a game. That's what I think they'll do. And then they'll show it and handle the show and dot. I do agree with Sandstorm. Like, I don't think DLSS is being brought up at all. Upscaling is being brought up at all. Nintendo doesn't talk tech. Okay. They'll talk about things they think impact games in a control way, like shaking the controller for ice cubes, right? So, like, if HD Rumble is improved, they'll bring that up. I don't think it is. It's probably not improved, but they would bring it up if it was. Just like they'll bring up the mouse. They're going to bring up the mouse function. They're going to show it. It's going to be shown again. I think Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is the obvious that it's a cross-gen launch game. I think that is the game that shows really off that, hey, hardcore gamers, you want mouse controls, we got it for the games that deserve it. And then I do agree with Stash that they will have some sort of casual party, some sort of game that will also showcase that mini game focus, like a 1-2 switch or something. It would be something that's like a hardware thing that should be packed in Nintendo, but this is Nintendo, so it won't be. It should be packed in. This should be like a free game. Nintendo, remember when you used to do that? When you used to pack a game in? Wii Sports? It should be that. But it won't be because it's Nintendo. They're going to charge you $70 for this silly thing that it's only going to sell well because it's like one of the few games you can buy day one. And Nintendo put it out there. So I do think that sort of game is going to exist. I know Stash alluded to it as well. We don't know what it's going to be. It's Nintendo's creativity. It could suck. It could be awesome. Like Nintendo Land, awesome. Wii Sports, awesome. 1-2 Switch, So, it could be hit or miss. 1-2 Switch isn't bad, by the way, if you play it in the intended way. Just most people aren't throwing rooftop parties, Karen. That being said, and everybody's 1-2 Switch, that's just a trash show. But I think they've learned their lesson from that one. Besides that, Mario Kart 9, as Stash said, the obvious launch game at this point. It's the only game they've shown. So to me, that means that is the de facto launch game. It's just like the very first game they showed on Switch was Breath of the Wild. We already knew it was the launch game. So the first game they showed there, it's going to be the launch game. It's going to be the best-selling game on the whole platform. Nintendo knows it. It's evergreen forever. And I do think we're going to see a decent amount of it. I could see them showing off at even like 5 minutes, which is still a lot in a 45-minute presentation because they're going to show off like new things. Because remember, this is not just a hardware presentation. It's you need to buy these games on our hardware, and here's why. They got to sell us on why we need this and why Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is why we can't just stick with that. Backwards compatible, right? Why do we need to buy the new Mario Kart? They got to show us why. Now, obviously, this is where they'll probably they'll highlight a bunch of stuff in this. They'll feature the online stuff and whatever new modes they have in the 24 players. I know there's speculation out there might be pit stops and we might have to refuel. If that's a new mechanic, I expect that to get explained and shown off. And I definitely expect them to be like showing off a dozen tracks and just how wild and crazy and expansive and whatever the new stuff is that's supposed to attract you to this game. I fully expect it. And if they go like, hey, we redesigned every character from the ground up, that would be really cool if they kind of show like, hey, here's a comparison of this compared to the last game. Like we put a lot of time into this. We really care about this. We'll see. Nintendo does get pretty deep into their games, so it's hard to know how deep they're going to go. But I do think because it is the de facto launch game, they're going to go pretty deep into it. Metroid Prime 4 is the one I'm not sure if they're going to go super deep because they might show it at a potential Switch 1 Direct next month. So the big news here might be that it's just a launch game and we have mouse controls. And that might be like a real quick minute trailer for that one. And just get you excited that, hey, if you want to play with mouse controls, you got to buy Switch 2. But it's also a Switch 1 game. Besides that, those are kind of what I think Nintendo has at launch. There'll be more launch window games from Nintendo, of course. They like to average a game a month. So there'll probably be 2, 3. They'll probably show off with if the system's coming out in May or June, they'll show off their big holiday title, whatever that holiday title is. 3D Mario is obviously a really popular guest. But that'll be the big one because we're way overdue for a 3D Mario. Could be a Zelda remake, even. Could sneak its way into there, especially if they have a from the ground up Ocarina of Time. That would be a very big announcement in this show. And if that's holiday and then they're saving Mario for when the Mario movie comes out, but it is Mario's 40th this year. Kind of feels appropriate if they drop the 3D Mario this holiday, kind of capping the year. Hey, you haven't touched anything like this since 2017. Here you go. Here's our GOTY game this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, I think they probably drop it. They might even drop it in October. They really like to put a big game in that October window. So we'll see what happens. Because I do think there's a chance. I know Legends Arceus is rumored to maybe be this summer. I think it could also end up being fall. And if that's the case, that'll be a November launch. And I don't think we're going to see Arceus in this at all. I think that'll be at the Pokemon Direct. Let me see what else. Lots of third-party stuff, but not as much as Stash. Stash thinks they're just going to blow everything here.
I said launch window. We all know what launch window is for Nintendo.
Sure.
It's 9 months.
Yeah.
Yes, but that means they're not all going to be announced here. Example.
No, it could be sizzle reel, though.
We didn't know Doom was coming after the 2017 event. We found that out later. We didn't know about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. We found that out at E3. So, the launch window games, there's June coming up. We have Summer Game Fest. We have probably another Nintendo Direct in June because they always do one then. We have another Nintendo Direct probably in September because that's when they do it. So, they have other times to announce games. They don't have to blow everything here. They just got to convince the first 3 months to buy the game, to buy the system. They want to sell this thing out. So, they're going to hit heavy on their launch games, and they're going to hit heavy, I think. I think within this presentation, I think they'll spend 15 minutes on the hardware and some of the new features. The rest will be games. I think there's going to be a heavy focus. Let's say it's 45 minutes. It's a half hour for games. I think there's going to be a heavy focus on let's say 12 to 15 titles. And they're going to all be there for specific reasons. Now, as crazy as it is, I do kind of agree with Stash. Silk Song is one of those games that'll be there, and I think it's going to be the only indie game shown. I don't think they're showing any indie games. This is not an indie world. They'll have indie worlds in the future that will show stuff. But because this game is the most demanded game at every indie world ever, them being hey, they got it ready for launch. This is the big indie launch game. That would be it's there for a reason. Because people have been waiting so long. People associate the game with Nintendo despite it being on everything. Because Nintendo is where it first blew up. So, yes, I do think that'll be probably the only indie game in there. I think the rest are going to be there for specific reasons. As an example, if they show off NBA 2K, which I don't think they will, but if they did, it would be just to show how much better it is on this compared to the last platform. That would look how much they might do a quick someone sitting there playing NBA 2K, the last one, on their Switch, and they look over and someone's on a Switch 2 and they're like, whoa, what is going on? I don't know. Dude, this is the Switch 2 version.
Yeah, 60 FPS.
On it, and there's the music's bopping, and you're seeing the dribbling, and maybe they even have LeBron come in and do a dunk or whatever. And next thing you know, it's dude, look at those visuals, man. That looks like playing on Xbox. What the fuck? Yeah. That is crazy. That's on Switch. I think things like Elden Ring, because I don't think there's going to be any sort of Zelda at launch. I think Elden Ring with its DLC will be a launch. Will be day one. Because Nintendo won't have anything that really competes with it day one. And I don't think they're going to have any other third-party game come out day one that's going to compete with it. So it's a really great, epic Western. Well, it's not really Western, but RPG out day one would be great. And then I know it feels like a Western RPG, but it's totally not. From Software is not a Western studio. And then they go ahead and they'll also tease in there that Night Rain's coming. Obviously, it's on PS4, guys. It's coming. So they're going to tease that Night Rain's going to come as well, maybe even day and date. I do think Doom: The Dark Ages is in there. I know there's some things like Nate the Hate hasn't even heard it's being in development for Switch 2. He expects it to be there, but he thinks it's going to be like a port later. I don't know, man. That Thursday date, that May 15th, that feels launch.
Mm-hmm.
That feels launch.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there'll be 2 shooters at launch. It's going to be that and Call of Duty. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Black Ops 6. Could be. But also we're in summer, and now people are going to start talking about like the new Call of Duty. So it might even be something like Warzone. So they might just be like, no, we're not going to do 6 because our marketing shifts about the ship. But Warzone's our forever game. Let's get that out there day one. So I can see that. I can see a few Switch games shown off being played on it, but they don't say anything. You just look at it and you're like, wait a second. That's Breath of the Wild? My Breath of the Wild don't look like that Breath of the Wild. But they don't tell you. They just go, no. Yeah, your game looks better, but we're not telling you why. Right. They could. To be fair, they could. They could advertise that Switch backwards compatibility includes game upgrades. That absolutely could be something they advertise. That is a selling point. But I do think they like to be like, let's leave that as a surprise. You just find this out later. And we talk about it in interviews and stuff. But they'll tease it in some way, I feel like. It might not be Breath of the Wild, by the way. That's just the obvious one because that's been rumored forever. But it could be any game. I do think that they will show... I think Remake and Rebirth are in. And I think that's to show 2 things. One, Final Fantasy's back, and it's on our system. It's back. We have it. This is not messing around. No excuse. Square Enix said they're going everywhere. They meant us. Come in here. And by the way, announcing Rebirth is a big get because there's a reason for that. Hey, this is a PS5 exclusive. It wasn't made for PS4. And it's coming here. Our system's powerful enough for that. It's a statement game from Nintendo to put that in there. Just like people thought the impossible ports with Doom, this is a statement game. This is a no, we got this. No one's shocked now if Doom is there. They're just not. We expect it now. We've gotten all the id Software games for like the last 10 years. Like, yeah, we expect it now. But we don't. We only expect that because it's rumored. It's been rumored, right? That's the only reason we even expect it. And still people are like, no way we're getting Rebirth. Just wait. I think it's going to be in there. And then there has to be something big. A showstopper at the end. The showstopper is probably a Nintendo game, to be clear. Nintendo likes to end their presentations with a big game from them. I don't know what that big game is going to be. Something teased that's either this year, Splatoon 4, or if it's like a next Animal Crossing. Maybe they even tease Smash because it's possible Sakurai's actually been working on that for a couple of years. Could get a Smash tease. Even though that might not be till 2026, it doesn't matter. They just got to tease it. Like whatever game they tease at the end doesn't have to be this year. I've even had some faint thoughts because they do tease this years in advance that maybe they tease 3D Zelda because they like to tease that game years.
They always
later.
do.
They always do. And if it's not this year, it'll be teased next year. So I'm like, they could do that because people will not shut up if that happens. The internet will literally not shut up because no one realistically expects to even see a glimpse of that this year. And they just show 30 seconds, just a pan out of the overworld like they did with the original Breath of. It's all they got to do. That's all they got to do. Just a pan out and the Master Sword. And you're like, oh, shit. It's go. Did you see those graphics? It's fucking go time.
It'll sell more consoles.
For like 4 years. It's still not going to come out to like 2028, 2029. But no matter. No one's going to be able to shut up about it. And we probably won't see it again for 2 years. But
that's why they'll tease Animal Crossing.
But I do think the big game they dropped before that, because I think they're going to try to end with 2. They're going to end with something surprising, like a 3. It might not be 3D Zelda, but something that shocks you at the end. But they're going to shock you before that with a third-party game people don't expect. GTA 6. GTA 6 will be shown. Now, they're not going to promise day and date. There won't be like, hey, it's coming out the same day as PS. Like, obviously, no. We know that's not how they make their games. They go one platform at a time, porting their game. But it being teased at all is also great science because everyone thinks, oh yeah, you got Rebirth, but you can't get a game like GTA. Bet.
That's
So
what
they
I'm
dropped
thinking.
that, and everyone thinks that's the end. Oh shit, they just dominated GTA's. Oh, that's why I said because Nintendo likes to end their presentations with their own game. How can you top excitement for GTA coming to say GTA is the biggest game on the planet?
Mm-hmm.
How can you? That's why I said maybe that's why they tease 3D Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the one thing that would get Nintendo fans to go like, we got GTA, and they fucking teased the 3D Zelda. So it has to be something big. That's why I'm like, they can't be teasing like an ARMS 2 or something at the end. Like it would have to be something that can get to the GTA hype cycle levels with Nintendo fans. Because GTA might not excite every Nintendo fan, but will excite a lot of gamers. So you give them that one last surprise at the end. So I kind of think it's going to be something like that. And that's already a really big presentation.
Yeah.
And throughout it, they're going to show off, how it works in handheld and dock mode. And some will have a mouse mode, some won't, yada, yada. I think we see the Pro Controller. Totally think they show off the new Pro Controller at some point in there. They might not talk about it, but you'll see someone holding it and you'll be like, oh, that's got the C button. That's different. So
I got a question for you guys. Actually, it's a 2 question. I don't want it to get like way out on a tangent. One, do you think we get different looking boxes for the Switch 2 than the original Switch? And the second question, how this actually came up, and I really didn't have an actual answer for it, but how do you think they do the cross-gen games like Prime 4 to Prime 4 on Switch 2?
So, like, if you buy Prime 4 on Switch 1,
Yeah.
and then, like, a year later, you buy Switch 2,
Yeah.
and how is it going to play, and is it going to cost money, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see Nintendo doing that model of, it's going to cost you an extra.
I can see upgrades being NSO.
Me too. NSO.
You get them free with NSO, otherwise it does cost money.
Base NSO or expansion pack? Because if we're staying true to the expansion pack name from N64, only the expansion pack will get you higher resolutions.
Also, the base is really, really cheap.
Yeah, I could see them going its expansion pack. The big thing will be if they get third parties on board with that, putting theirs in NSO, or if they're going to charge. Like, because Nintendo can't control that, what third parties are going to do.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we could look at obviously PlayStation 5 and Xbox and look at what they've done as a first party, both Microsoft and Sony, versus what third parties have done. Some third parties is free. Yeah. And then some charge $10.
Yep.
I think either way, though, I think it's a really good deal. Like I was very happy with all of the PS4 to PS5 games that were upgraded. Just overall with the performance, the graphics, the pricing of it. I was just very pleased. I thought it was very consumer friendly. And I don't see Nintendo going anywhere out of those bounds, right? Like if they did 10, Nintendo would do 10. They're not going to be like, nah, give me 20. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be the same price. But again, I do think the NSO avenue is definitely a route you can go. I mean, I think that would really increase the NSO sales. But I think first party games, there's going to be a ton of optimization. There's going to be a ton on Switch too. Ton. It's not just Metroid Prime. There's going to be a lot. Obviously, Breath of the Wild. I would hope Tears of the Kingdom. Paper Mario, we already know. That baby's going to be running in 4K. It's in the code. Nate, what just happened? It's something exciting, right?
I had an epiphany.
Okay.
So, I talked about 3D Zelda maybe being like a closer. I think the closer could be Smash, but here's the thing. In the trailer, they show off the lead character from GTA 6 is in the game. Coming up, dude.
That would blow the internet up, literally.
The internet would not be able to handle that.
It'd be funny
No.
because you would think it would be more of GTA 6, and then you just see like a
Yeah,
letter
it's
pop,
just
and
like,
you're
oh.
like, what?
What is happening? The character runs. The next thing you know, he's onto a Smash screen fighting Mario, and you're like, "What is happening?" The internet could not handle that.
What if at the end of the trailer, someone like walks up to him and hands him an envelope? He's like, "What's this for?" And then they open up. It's an invitation to Smash.
No, it's totally not gonna. That's pure hopium. But I'm like, if you want to win the internet like forever,
I
I
mean,
would
yeah,
definitely break that. internet.
definitely.
yeah. No, you wanted to take attention away from GTA on PlayStation? You just did it.
You never know. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have an episode at some point talking about Smash characters and
Oh,
third
yeah.
parties because
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you think about Microsoft. I'm just like, oh my god, what's going to come from Microsoft?
yeah. As soon as that Smash game's announced, there's going to be theories on what other characters are in and DLC. We're going to have that's going to be a fun conversation when that happens. Oh man, is that Eric? Did you have any predictions you want to throw in?
No, I had Game Miner right away.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
What's the launch price, Nate?
$3.99. I'm pretty confident in that.
One or two SKUs?
I think there'll be two. It'll either be a color variation on the Joy-Con,
Mm.
or there'll be a white version.
Mm.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's it. And well, I mean, I think crazy. I don't think we're gonna have like the Mario Kart Special Edition day one or anything like that. But I think I don't think there'll be any differences. I think they're gonna be the exact same. And think about it. They launched two SKUs with Switch, the black Joy-Cons and the neon Joy-Cons. So I can see them going. I mean, I think the black and white theme would be interesting because I also feel like if they did that, like the Sandstorm asked, would there be any difference with like the thing, the physical copies?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to probably be the same size, like the actual physical pouch will be the same size, but I think they'll change the color from red and maybe go with the black and white sort of theme.
That's what I said. Oh my gosh, that would be.
And then that would fit launching with a black and white version of the system as well.
Yeah,
I would.
It would all go together.
That would be cool. I think you got to ditch the red probably.
Yeah, you don't have to ditch it entirely. I know they're using
No.
it because like the Switch is kind of red branded, but I feel like for the boxes, you got to switch that up a little bit.
Yeah, we can't confuse anybody.
Yeah, it's
No.
got to be very obvious when you walk in the shelf that that's a Switch 2 game versus a Switch game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So
Okay. The other one, launch date. What's your launch date window prediction, Nate?
well, I just did a video. I'm pretty all in on that 15th date.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm pretty convinced. I know it's mostly a theory. You know, you can argue, oh, did Doom leak the date? Probably not, but then maybe. Who knows? Because they don't launch games on Thursdays, and here they are launching on a Thursday. And I know, well, you bet your collector's edition you can play on Tuesday. Yeah, every game. Well, name a AAA game that doesn't do that.
They're all doing it.
They're all doing it.
Yeah.
So,
They need someone to test the game.
the
Right.
official launch day is Thursday. So like that's convenient because that's when Nintendo launches game. Microsoft does Tuesdays, and you might go, well, go look at the other games they announced in that direct. They all launch on Tuesdays. Go look at the games they released last year. They all launched on Tuesday. This is the first one out of all these batch in the last like 3 years that's launching on a Thursday. So just saying, I think that means something. But if that's just all hullabaloo and all the math and all the other theories that support the 15th are wrong, because the other supporting factor, guys, is for some reason Nintendo has a break.
Mm-hmm.
A 2-week break in their experiences, like May 11th, Nintendo Switch experience stops and then doesn't come back again until May 31st. For some reason, there's a gap in there, even though until
We
that
know
point,
why.
it's every weekend. And there's no major event technically happening in May. Like gaming wise, there's PAX East, but that's not considered like a major event. There's no major event happening in May to cause there to be a 2-week break unless that major event is they're launching something. On top of that, I throw one other cog in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think 4.2 that Nintendo Direct they've already announced is kind of the blowout. Like this is because we're going hands on with it right after. So like to me that it has to be the blowout then because that's what happened in 2017. They had that January event, then it was hands on Switch experiences right after. So since I'm pretty confident because of the Switch 2 experiences that's the blowout. I do feel like I don't think that Nate the Hate was wrong that there's a May event. He was told about a May event a couple months ago. I don't think he's wrong about a May event. I think that May event's just the launch event. Because he didn't know what the event was. He speculated it would be the blowout. But he didn't know what it was. He just heard something's happening in May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. is launching in May. So it's a launch event. They always do. If you guys don't know, you can watch it on like Nintendo's socials. They always do like this countdown to midnight and handing the person their first Switch.
Yep.
They make like a big deal out of it. Nintendo does that on their socials. So like, yeah, it's going to be, I think like a launch event is what he's probably hearing about, and he just didn't know that's what it was at the time. So that's the other supporting evidence. But I will say, if it ain't May, then you go with the traditional thinking. The last experience is on June 1st. They launch in June. Because there's no other in-person play events after that. But I do think, and I said this in my video, I think the advantageous thing about either launching first week of June or in that middle period of May is it gets the system out before all the summer events. And so those summer events are going to feel like a lot of Nintendo events because Switch 2 logos are going to be flying all over the place at those events. Even if Nintendo's not participating in Summer Game Fest, it'll feel like they are because Switch 2 logos will be everywhere. It won't just be an occasional rare, Choo Choo Charles Switch indie game, or Plucky Squire. Throw out a really good game. Plucky Squire with the Switch logo. It'll be AAA games showing Switch 2 logos. And so that'll be really, really exciting this summer. Now we know definitively after the last Microsoft showcase, the developer direct, they put PS5 logos in. The summer showcase will have Switch 2 logos in it. Like just definitively. They're already putting PS5 logos in their events. So they're going to put Switch 2 logos in that summer event. If Ubisoft somehow cobbles together a presentation, if they're still a company, they'll still they're trying to sell, but whatever. They'll have Switch 2 logos all over that. In fact, they'll probably have another crossover game with Nintendo, something. Maybe they're working on Star Fox for Nintendo. I don't know, because that team that made that other game was really good.
Starlink.
Starlink. That game's really good. I think if you take that team and you task them with a Star Fox game, I think they could do something. And if Ubisoft likes money, Nintendo's footing the bill, so you ain't got to pay for the game to be made, and then you just get to reap some profits when it sells like 5 million copies on Switch 2. That seems like a win-win for them. So we'll see. That's maybe more of a pipe dream that's happening, but it would be nice. I think Ubisoft has some talent at the company that's just not being used correctly. So we'll see. I always have hopes for Ubisoft because they in the past have made a lot of good games.
Agreed.
I agree.
So yeah, I think getting your system launched ahead of those events just makes you the talk of the summer.
Exactly.
Summer of Switch. You're going to be the talk of the summer anyways, but imagine that like Nintendo has this thing where you can't put Switch 2 logos in until after we launch, and then they launch it in the middle of June, and that's after all the events, and none of those games had Switch 2 logos in. Like it's just an awkward situation.
Yeah.
Very.
Now they might by the way, they might release the reigns after April 2nd, and we might just get third parties blasting stuff all over the place. But yeah. And so that's one reason too that I don't think like that huge massive blowout that Thunderstash thinks is going to be like with all, I don't even know how many games do you have in your list? You got a rough estimate?
Easy 100.
Yeah, I would say there's probably 30.
Okay. So the reason why I don't think there'll be as many is that because I do think after April 2nd, third parties will be off their NDAs and they can start promoting their own games without Nintendo and get their own attention. So that's one reason why I kind of think they won't all necessarily be in there, especially if they're not at launch. They want to time their things differently, time their own marketing, not be beholden to Nintendo, not have to wait for their directs to do things. But yeah, I'm sure like right now, none of the third parties, the reason, because I know what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? He's a journalist. Jason Schreier. He put out there that like, hey, one reason to reveal it now is so third parties can talk. Well, they ain't talking.
Yep.
Which means Nintendo has them under NDA until a certain day. And that certain day is probably April 2nd because they want to hold surprises. They want Doom the Dark Ages to be a surprise. They want maybe GTA 6 or Elden. They want that stuff to be a surprise for their event, to build their event even bigger. And their argument to them to make them sign those NDAs would be simply put, do you know how big this event's going to be? You know the attention your game's going to get at this event if you wait? Do you want to be Digital Foundry's impossible port game? I'm just saying, sure. Like, So that's kind of why I think Nintendo maybe put a strict NDA in. And any company right now, all those indie games you see announcing Switch 2 stuff, guys, they don't have dev kits. I've had several indie companies reach out to me. Nintendo's being very restrictive with dev kits for indies. Some of the indies did get to go visit Nintendo HQ to see what the Switch 2 is about, but most of them were not offered the ability to buy a dev kit yet. So they might be planning to bring their games to Switch 2, but they're also under no NDAs, which means they could say their game's coming to Switch 2 just because they know they're going to develop it for it. But they're not under NDA because they don't have a dev kit. So that's why they're able to say that stuff. If you're paying attention to something like that's why I said Silk Song, notice they ain't talking Switch 2. Now you could argue they're not talking anything, but actually they have. The programmers actually have recently talked about Silk Song on Twitter and stuff, like admitting that it's that they're still working on it. It's very much still a game because they were being accused that it's all vaporware. And they came out and clarified, no, we're still working on this. So and it will release. Very clearly, the one developer said, it will release. Stop telling me it's not going to release. This thing is going to release one day. So, yeah. So I think they might be one of the select few that got one. And the reason they're just not talking is because they're dropping it at the event. So they got to kind of be quiet. Remember, last time we saw it, I think officially was what? The Xbox event? When it was supposed to release within the next 12 months?
Yeah.
That's the thing that gives me doubts. Like, do you think Microsoft would have some kind of contract that they like? I bet they had something there where like we get to say this, and we get to release it, even though it's coming out everywhere at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the announcement was it was going to be in the next 12 months. It's going to be on Game Pass. I'm sure it's still going to be on Game Pass. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably still, that contract's probably still in place because
but it was supposed to be like Xbox's time to shine.
Sure,
like,
but that was just for that announcement. That wasn't for all future announcements about the game.
But Silk Song didn't fulfill their end of the agreement.
Well, of course they did. They also probably were under no obligation in the contract to fulfill it. They just probably told Microsoft we'll be out in the next year.
Yeah, that could be true too.
Yeah, we don't obviously know the particulars. Just like the 10-year contract, everyone's like, Microsoft's not honoring it. They didn't put Call of Duty on Switch. I'm like, they talked about in the court case how they could put Call of Duty on Switch. They never said they were going to do it.
And we also never knew the dates that those 10 years applied to. Just because they signed the contract doesn't mean the contract starts right that second.
Yeah, the contract could have been 2025 is when it starts.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft definitely has dev kits. They got a lot of big studios. They definitely have Switch 2 dev kits. So, all right.
I was going to say, I think some side validity, not that it's as strong, but May is still also technically tax season in America. So,
Yep.
Money. Tax return time.
Good point.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get their tax returns until that April, May time. And after I think a lot of us believe that the pre-orders start either the day of the direct or shortly thereafter. People are going to have that money to plop down. They're going to be like, no, I want this thing day one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Now, again, you guys might go, well, they don't base everything on the United States. And you're right. They don't base everything on America. But, like, it is their largest market. And then Japan. And then everywhere else. So, yeah, they are definitely going to care about what the heck is going on with the U.S. and making sure people have money for this thing. But, yeah, does anyone else think it won't be $399? I know there's some concerns about tariffs and stuff. Does anyone think it's going to be more expensive?
No, I think $399 is, like, the point at this point. Like Thunderstash said, I think they drop the other SKUs down when this thing they finally throw out the numbers for Switch 2. It only makes sense. And $399, Nintendo's not really one to go like crazy with prices in the first place. So I think that's really generous, especially if we're talking about a system we should be seeing that is so much more powerful than the original Switch. I think $399 is a good price.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's get into our next topic. It's kind of a two-parter. Stash will finish it off. But let's get into the beginning here because this also has to do with support for Switch. Because some crazy things are happening at traditional competitors for Nintendo. I would say maybe the only other popular console at the moment. Sorry, Xbox fans. And I have an Xbox Series X behind me and I use it every day. But I'm telling you, there's a reason they don't tell us sales data anymore. All right? Because if it looked good, they would tell us. So We already know that Xbox is bringing goods, right? I mean, they've already been doing it on Switch. I know nothing's technically announced, but Phil Spencer pretty much put out there already that like, yeah, we're supporting Nintendo. That's all you can say because again, they're under NDA. So like, well, if you expected Phil to announce games, they're under NDA. He can't say much right now until that NDA is lifted. That being said, it was interesting that he did say that he messaged Furukawa the day of it. He's like, hey, I emailed him. We exchanged some words. I congratulated him. Like, hey, I believe that probably did happen. I don't think he's lying about that. Because again, they're trying to sell games on that platform, so they're going to be chummy because of course they are. But there's this interesting thing happening with Sony, and it kind of started today. So there are some major changes have been going on. For starters, for those who weren't aware, they ever since Jim Ryan stepped down, they've been running a dual CEO setup with Sony Interactive Entertainment, which is their primary PlayStation branch. And as of today, Sony announced that is no longer the case. Herman Holst has stepped down from that position into a new one as a CEO of the Studio Business Group. Now, that still makes him an important figure. However, he now has to answer to the actual CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Before this, they only had to answer to the CEO of actual Sony. But gaming decision-wise, he's basically unabated. Now, some people get really big in the weeds on this because Herman Holst has been a big proponent on these live service games that keep flopping for Sony and keep getting canceled. Now, Helldivers 2 is a success story, but besides that, they really haven't found much else to pop off. Concord being maybe the biggest disaster. Who knows how big the disasters were that got canceled behind the scenes because they got canceled. Who knows how much money they lost on that stuff. Anyways, he now can't just make blanket decisions like that. It has to get checked by the now solo. He was formerly the co-CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Hideki Nishino. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but he now is the main decision maker. All decisions have to go through him. All right, cool. That's neat. Why does this even matter? All right. Well, Sony's overall, their actual CEO of the entire company, it's kind of funny. They have a lot of people in the company. If you actually go look at their employee list, I think they have like 17 CEO titles. It's hilarious. Like one of the few companies I know that has, you're the CEO of this. No, you can't be like the chief operating officer. No, you're the CEO of, okay. All right, cool. Anyways, so Sony's overall CEO, Hiroki Totoki, love that name, by the way.
That's a nice name.
That's a fun name to say. Said this about their strategy in February of 2024. Said, in the past, we wanted to popularize console and first-party titles. Main purpose was to make the console popular. It is true, there is a synergy to it. So if you have a strong first-party content, not only with our console, but with other platforms like computers, first-party can be grown with multi-platforms that can help operating profits to improve. So that is another one we want to proactively work on. I personally think there are opportunities out there for improvement of margins. So I would like to go aggressive in improving our margin performance. Now, the big thing coming off that quote is if you looked at Sony's financials, their margins on all their first-party games were really bad. They barely got ahead of even with Spider-Man 2. Like their margins have been horrendous for a long time. Like they're making their money back, and that's considered good. And that's not what a for-profit company wants. They want to actually make money. And so the Sony CEO was saying this back in February because that's when it was coming out that Spider-Man 2 didn't give them the profits they wanted. That, hey, we got to shift. We got to change strategy. We got to consider this multi-platform stuff. And they have. Now, we all know MLB The Show was forced to go multi-platform due to the MLB. To re-up the contract, MLB said, hey, you can't just be on your system. Like, you gotta bring show to everything. All right, cool. I'm not really going to count that because they were kind of strong-armed into it. However, what did they announce after February last year? Oh, Lego Horizon. Coming to everything, including Switch. Now, you can go with the Lego game. It's a crossover.
Well, not Xbox.
Well, not Xbox. Switch. Yeah. No, at this point, no one wants to release games on Xbox, I think. Sorry, Sony. Or sorry, Sony. Xbox. Sorry, Xbox. Sorry, Microsoft. But no, they announced it coming to Switch. And that's a big deal because that means they view Switch and Nintendo as a platform that they can sell their games on. And it is a Sony IP, and they did publish the game. So it was solely Sony's decision to bring it over. wasn't some Lego trying to strong arm them. Now, Lego might have made a pitch that they should put it there because they could say, hey, look how well our Lego games sell on Nintendo. But it doesn't matter. Sony chose to publish their IP on a Nintendo platform. And how this always works is it always starts with one. It always starts with one. Same with Microsoft. What was the first one we got from them? Was it, besides Minecraft, that was everywhere before they bought it, but
Cuphead.
Ori? Was it Cuphead or Ori? One of those.
Yeah, and Ori.
Yeah, those were like the first two. It always starts with one. And you might go, why not more? Well, because Switch probably can't handle a lot of their games. But Switch 2 is a different story, right? So they started with a game that it could handle in that Lego game. So that's the thing. The CEO of Sony's already came out publicly and said, multi-platform is where we think we can increase our margins. Okay, well, there's only one other platform besides PC that you're on that would even be viable for sales. And that's Nintendo. Look, 146 million Switches out there. You probably think Nintendo Switch 2 is at least going to sell half of that. So, like, it's the only real viable platform besides PC that you would even consider wanting to support to make money and improve your margins. These are just words from Sony themselves. And then the other thing to mention is Sony is now removing on PC the requirements on Steam to log into PlayStation accounts to play games. So that was a huge bugaboo of people on PC. It was like, oh, I got to have a PlayStation account and a Steam account? This is stupid. And Sony is now removing that requirement on their major titles they've released. So that also shows that they're no longer interested in having to force people into the PlayStation ecosystem to play their games. So my question then is, do we think Sony is actually going to go forward with a multi-platform strategy to bring their games to Switch 2? Anyone want to go first?
I mean, I guess I'll go ahead.
Probably should have Dash go first. Dash is going to transition into the second part of this. All right. Yeah, what's up, Sandstorm? What are you thinking?
Absolutely. Do I think they're day one? No. Do I think they're year one? Probably not. Maybe within the first few years, you might see something drop over there. Look, to be honest with you, Sony put themselves in a hole. They totally did this to themselves. And just it's funny because I think they've worked up into this point, and now that they're at this point, they're like, well, what do we do? Like we can't find a way to get enough people to buy our system, and the games that we're trying to make are costing too much. Like we really don't have a way out. So I think you're gonna start the smart idea. If I was Sony, if you made me CEO right now, boom, I'm head of Sony right now, today, at this very moment, I'm giving you as far as like what Nintendo gets, you're not gonna get everything, you know. But I think you're gonna get the ones that logically make sense. So your Sly Coopers, your Jack and Dexters, you're gonna get those, and we're gonna test the ground to see how many people actually. Astrobot, that might be the first one.
Astrobot. I mean, come on.
That goes without saying.
The audience for that game. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
but the controller.
You sold 1.5 million. Yeah, I know the controller. You would lose some functionality there.
It's like half the game.
But like, man,
then make a new Astrobot.
Yeah, they could make a new one. I think they would probably just rework the current one without some of those controller features. As cool as those controller features are from Sony, things are doable without them. Mm-hmm. Would it be a lesser version of the game? Yeah, but is Sony going to care if they sell 4 million? They 3x what they did on PS5? No, they're not going to care.
And you got to keep in mind, there's only how many, less than 10 million sold for Astrobot? So the vast majority who have Astrobot haven't even played. So they wouldn't even know.
Opens their controller to work natively with Switch 2.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God, that would be sick. That would be sick. You already can make it work, guys, by the way, with like dongles and stuff. But like, it's not the same thing because there's no native support in the games for it. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I'm just pipe dreaming.
No, that's a good one.
Nintendo branded PlayStation controller just to have the features. Oh, that would be so sick.
It's like, remember us from?
Remember when we were going to work together back in the day? Now we finally are.
It like comes with a whole controller or a whole like trailer. Like, this is how you'd use a PlayStation controller on a Nintendo console, like they did with the.
Oh, yeah. You turn on the system and it says hit L and R to sync. All right. Oh, that would be sick. That would be sick. Anyways, that's a pipe dream, by the way. I don't think that part's gonna happen, but it would be cool. It would be cool.
But yeah, that's how I think that's how they're gonna do it. Will they actually do it that way? No, I don't think so. You may see Alloy, the first Horizon, drop on there. Yeah.
I think there's an audience for that on Nintendo too.
Yeah. God of War may be like one of the last ones that you see, along with Ghost.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Tsushima.
Yeah. But other than that,
so many other PS5 games are also PS4 games.
Yeah.
Like you can bring over like the whole library.
Mm-hmm. You can even, I mean, they don't even have to bring out their like today stuff. You know what I mean? Like you can bring out Twisted Metal and call it good, you know?
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, even as they bring out like new games out, they have like even if like fans just want PS5 games, they can bring out all the ones they've already previously released. It has nothing to do with their new ones because the sales are done. Like one thing Sony and look, I think the whole industry sort of dug this grave. As mad as people get that Nintendo doesn't reduce the price of their games, I think that's a huge component to their games staying evergreen. It keeps the perception that it's value, that this is a high value game worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think that's helped maintain evergreen status. As much as we hate it, hey, all these other companies, we now have decades of proof of what happens when you reduce price of games. Yeah, it increases a little bump in sales. Majority of your sales still happen in the first month.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't name a single Nintendo game outside of like Metroid Dread where like a majority of game sales were in the first month. No, they just kept selling. They just kept going. And so I don't remember who started sinking those prices, but Sony I know participates in that and chopping their prices. And it's like, yeah, they might not care. Like, oh, you guys might go like, well, they'd never bring Forbidden West over. Maybe they would because no one's buying it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They can't sell any more copies of it. So they got to bring it to a new audience if they want to sell copies. So like that's the thing I got out of what Sony CEO was talking about. He's like, hey man, we're not making like hardly anything on these games. Why are we not putting them where people want to play them? Yeah. Which is ironically Phil Spencer's strategy at the moment.
Right.
Like, hey, if you don't sell enough of our own system to sell enough copies, so why don't we just put our shit out of everything else?
I mean,
you know,
it's not a good idea until Sony does it though.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what it always is. Sony like, oh yeah, well, we did it better. Dude, we're getting Master Chief. I don't even fucking talk. Anyways, did it better, huh? Dude, I got the last two Dooms. What are you? We're getting the next one. What do we talk about? Okay, all right, cool. You can think what you want. I would be sick if Fable gets announced for Switch 2. I will say that. I will be very pleased, assuming they don't mess Fable up. It's a lot of faith they don't mess that up. That IP's been through some stuff, but. We'll see. We haven't really seen much of the game, so it's hard to know. All right, Eric, do you think Sony's bringing stuff over?
Yeah, I think they'll slowly start trickling their stuff in. I don't know, like Sandstorm said, I don't necessarily think it'll be day one. I mean, there'll probably be certain games, not their major ones, but I'm kind of leaning towards once they kind of start, they'll bring them all out. You know, Sony first. And then as the sales kind of start to dip off, then they'll kind of transfer them over to the other, open up for
like
the other ones.
Some of the Microsoft strategy, like they released Indiana Jones first, and then a few months later it's coming to PS5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be once the sales kind of dip off, then they'll open it up for the other consoles to kind of go for that. Get your initial sales to make sure that and it's
the best version of the game on PlayStation 5 Pro.
And then once those take a dip, then you can open it up. Get some more sales in, kind of keep it going a little bit more. And I think it'd be a decent strategy. So, I mean,
look, their CEO said it. They want money. Like the games business most of their money's coming from another company. We're going to get to that later. So like it's kind of wild right now. Andrew, what are you thinking?
My opinion's a lot more tame about it. I know we kind of compare how Microsoft has dealt with Nintendo, but Microsoft's also in a lot different of a position. I think Sony also doesn't want to bend the knee and act. I don't know. There's still the strongest competition between Nintendo and Sony as when it comes to video game platforms, and even with Microsoft in a much worse position when Cuphead and Ori and the Blind Forest came out, and we got the 4 games, or not the 4 games, but some of the games that were at the "Don't worry, Xbox ain't going away" interview thing. Like, I did not feel the floodgates open. Like, that was years ago. And I feel like Microsoft is the company that, if any, would let the floodgates open. And I think they will open with Switch 2, but it took years after that. And I think, and the only kind of data point I feel like we have on what kind of games, at least day and date release, that Sony will release with Nintendo Switch 2 are some of the factors. I think Lego Horizon Adventures, just the Lego Horizon game. It kind of was. No one really thought about it when it came out. It just came out and went. I think they knew that it wasn't going to be some big splash.
Sure.
Kind of a more niche Lego title. It's a game that they just needed the sales, and also it's not a system seller. I don't think anyone bought a PS5 for Lego Horizons. So I think it's going to be those kinds of games, and it's going to be far and few between. It's not going to be, oh man, we're going to start seeing 4 a year. I think that's really high if we see 4 a year. I think it's 1 a year if we're lucky. And I'm talking date and date release of brand new games. And then I think they're going to take their dang slow time getting the older stuff out. Cause I think they just gotta, cause I think Spider-Man would sell bangers on Switch, but that I really think that's a console seller.
Mhm.
I think what they're more concerned about with that, and I really want to stress that I think this, because I'm not the biggest PlayStation expert as much as I am with Nintendo, but I really think they just looking at what I've seen when they've released their sales reports is I bet they're just trying to get budget down. If they just got that down, that they probably wouldn't even we probably wouldn't be having this conversation if they had their budgets down. I think for Spider-Man 1 remaster for the PlayStation 5, I think it sounds ridiculous. I want to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was $400 million. That's for a remaster.
That's crazy.
That's more than any movie before marketing budget.
And now I know
production budget.
I know some of that money is for licensing. I do know there's a huge licensing fee, but still, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's where I really think they're gonna try to really get the profits. And sometimes the new CEO does. I don't. There's so much on the inside we don't see. But as far as the games go, I'm just trying to say, tame your expectations. It's gonna be a slow drip, and I think that's pretty safe to say. But I think we will see stuff, but just don't get too excited what it's all gonna be.
Sure, I do tend to agree with some of your notions, and a lot of you guys' notions that it's not gonna be a bam bam. Here's a bunch of games.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be if it happens, it'll be a trickle over time that might increase as time goes on, or might decrease. Kind of depends on how well it's going for them. I think if the sales are really, really well, it increases because they like the margins. They like money. They want to make money. And it's kind of funny because during that FTC case with Microsoft, Jim Ryan said that Nintendo is not a competitor in the relevant market.
I get that too.
By the way, it's just a bunch of fluff because they're pissed. They didn't like Call of Duty. They were just pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I guess that's true too. I do think it's also true that I think Sony and Nintendo's biggest competitors are not each other. They're streaming services. They're individual games like Fortnite. How can we get them to play something else other than Fortnite? So
sure. Yeah. Or as Sony goes, we want to make the next Fortnite.
Yeah, that too.
That's what they've been trying. That's what they've been trying and failing to do. Is make the next game that everyone plays. But to be that, as people, a lot of people know, to be that kind of game, you got to be free to play and you got to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Microsoft actually just said that recently. Phil Spencer on one of the interviews he was doing over the last week, he brought up hey, Everyone wants to be that game, and there's a very clear path to be that, and we're not doing it. No one, these big companies aren't doing it. You got to be free to play, and you got to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to be a good game, obviously, but they're charging $60-$70 and then charging for DLC and then slow trickling it to a bunch of platforms. That doesn't work. You want to be Minecraft, you want to be Roblox, you want to be Fortnite. There's a clear path that heck, you want to be Among Us. Like, there's a clear path to be that, and these big companies don't know how to do that.
It's
because they don't know how to not spend $200+ million on a fucking video game.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't know how to not do. Fortnite was not made on a $200 million. Yeah, they've spent more than that on Fortnite now because it makes the money to do it. You know, all the licensing, like, they pay a lot of money for that stuff, but that's not what Fortnite was at the beginning. They didn't spend $200 million to make that. You work your way up to that. Minecraft, they spend a lot on that now because of course they can. It was built by one guy in his basement. Like, you know, these big companies, they just don't know how to operate in the way to do that. And that's why we see a lot of these up and coming indie studios and other things like blow up because, not Epic Games, by the way, is not an indie studio. But yeah. All right. Thunderstash. What are we doing?
Okay. Good. Thank you. How are you?
I've had a hell of a week, man. You got a new camera. That's exciting.
Yeah. I saw your post, man. That's good. I'm happy for you guys.
All right.
Okay. So in regards to PlayStation games, coming to Switch 2. You know, I think I have something that works here. I think it works for both sides. Okay. I think all parties would be happy here. Nintendo fans would be happy. Sony fans, specifically like fanboys, wouldn't be mad. Okay. Shareholders, PlayStation shareholders, would be very happy and pleased.
Well, they just care about money. So
exactly,
anything that works for that, they're happy with.
So this proposition, everybody wins, and that is okay. Well, think about this. What would make Sony console warring fans? Let's just say console warring fans. What would make them mad? They would be mad if PS5 exclusives came to Switch 2. Yeah. Like brand new PS5. Like if Last of Us Part 3 came out day and date on Switch 2, they would be mad. Okay? This is what you do. And this is how you make a lot of money and shareholders are very happy. Is you go back to the PS4 catalog and you release the PS4 games. You release Bloodborne. It came out 10 years ago now. 10 years ago. You release God of War. The first one came out in 2018. You release The Last of Us Part 1, and slowly you get Part 2. And you should, because there's a TV show about it, and it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that will get more people to watch it, which is why Fallout will be on Switch.
We'll play it while watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Here's another one you do. Easy money. You get the Uncharted collection.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. They came out on PS3. But then they released the collection in HD at 60 FPS on PS4. You get that. Then you put out Uncharted 4. Again, by the time any of this happens, most of these games will be 10 years old. So these games are done.
Yeah.
It's created. Yeah. You're just making money. Okay. Ghost of Tsushima. Yes, you get the old one on Switch. If you want to play the new one right now, if you play it on Switch 2 and you're like, damn, this is so good, I can't wait for Part 2 to come out. And Sony's like, well, you know, Part 2 is not going to come out on Switch 2. It's going to come out on PS5 first. If you really love it that much, then they'll buy a PlayStation and play it. If you really love it that much, right? Both sides win. You get Demon Souls. I totally believe if we're being logical and we're trying to make the most money possible and everyone's happy, you get Spider-Man over there for the same reason you get Indiana Jones over. It's very, very expensive. The development costs, the marketing, the licensing, everything is extremely expensive. You want to make that money back? Because, again, they didn't make as much money as they wanted to on Spider-Man. They've made it clear. I already know Xbox is not going to make as much money as they wanted to on Indie, but they're going to have a much, much better chance now with it coming out on PlayStation.
Yep.
And then when it comes out on Switch, they'll be totally good and in the green. It's going to be fine. And we'll get another indie game because it's that good. But I think you look at those games, you look at like Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, maybe Days Gone gets another chance. I really do believe Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West need to make it over to Switch because those are games we'd appreciate. I played both of them, beat them, got the platinum. That's how much I love them. I did everything in the game. And that was not my game plan going into playing these. It was like, I was playing and I'm like, this is a really good game. I want to do everything. God of War was the same way. I loved it so much. I'm like, I want to do everything in the game. All those games though, like I just pulled up a list of first party, PS4 games. All of these can make money and Sony fans won't be mad because they still get all of the new games on their console. And you're taking games that are 10 years old, that are dormant, that are not on store shelves. Also, that's a big thing to factor in because I do think PlayStation and Xbox are going to continue to sunset physical games. And if you release on Nintendo, you have a retail presence now on the store shelves forever. When I say forever, for as long as Nintendo does physical, and we all know they're going to be the last ones to bow out of physical because as soon as you're not in the stores anymore, grandma doesn't know how to get the grandkids video games anymore. Aunts and uncles don't know how to buy it. They don't know how to go online and buy them a digital game. They don't understand that. So I look at things like that. So my opinion, yes, PS4 games, I could definitely see them come to Switch too. If you want to make the most money and do what is responsible to the shareholders, then yeah, you do it. Because that's the way the world's going to start going. And you have to do it because Xbox is going to do it now. And if Xbox bows out, like from the traditional console market, someone else is going to jump in. There's companies right now planning it right now. Valve might jump in. Apple might.
Yeah, Apple's talked about it for a while.
They have. Those are just, two companies off the top of my head that I think we've all wondered when and if they'll ever get in. Four's too much. We can't go back to the early 2000s. When we had Dreamcast, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. That was too much. But I think if Microsoft gets out, somebody else will jump in. I kind of want to segue now into a couple of things. One is, have you guys seen all the Phil Spencer interviews? He's been, doing the interview tours lately.
Yep.
They've been great.
Only seen clips.
Yeah. Yep. They've been really good. I've enjoyed them. Really because a lot of what he said is what we've talked about on this channel for what seems like the better half of 6-9 months at least, in regards to Xbox becoming a third-party developer. And they're really starting to embrace it. And obviously, as you mentioned earlier, Phil talked with Furukawa and they seem to have a good relationship, which is great. One thing that was talked about was the Series S, and he was asked if they're going to continue to support it throughout the whole Xbox life cycle, or if it's going to fall off. Like, are certain games not going to come to Series S? And he said, no. He said, we absolutely are going to continue to have full parity with the Series S and the Series X. And he mentioned that with the Series S, it's a really good console, like to be able to port games from too, to other consoles. Which, what have we said the whole time about Series S? If it's coming to Series S, it's coming to Switch too. That's obviously what he was alluding to. So when I read that, I was very excited. When I read it or watched it, but I was excited about that piece. Then some of Xbox's numbers came out. I don't know if you guys saw how much they sold in 2024 as far as consoles. It's like 3 million.
Ouch.
That's insane.
That's
a double take. That's a double take. Like a couple times.
Oh, I mean, better than Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's nothing else. There's no way to look at that as a positive light.
I know. It's insane. But again, they're going in another direction. And only they know that direction specifically, but we have an idea of what they're doing. We've been onto it for some time. But more interestingly, so these reports came out about the sales for December, obviously being the most recent month of data that's available. And get this, Microsoft was the #1 games publisher in the world for December 2024 at almost $500 million was spent on Xbox games across Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox in December. 500 million. Now the kicker is, out of that 500 million, 64% of that was consumers spending on Microsoft titles that were on PlayStation consoles.
That's wild.
Hey, that is wild, right? Like that's some crazy numbers. So you were the #1 publisher in the world, and you made the lion's share on the PlayStation with what you published. So this is just like, it's not theory anymore. Like we've talked about this for, like I said, months and months and months, that I believe Xbox is going to be a third-party developer and is probably going to be the most successful one. Why wouldn't they be? Look at all the development studios they own. They bought some of the best in the world. They have Activision. That's huge. Like Activision, they got their own, Microsoft Games division. They have so many great studios. Doom, Fallout. So many huge IPs. They're gonna make so much money on Switch too. But if you look at this, it's like, okay, seeing these numbers again, you have to operate in the best interest of the shareholder, right? Publicly traded company, you have to do that. Now that these numbers are out, you have to do this. You can't go backwards now, is my point, which is why I was so excited to see these numbers. Is that now you can't go backwards. They're out there, they're published. Microsoft games are going to continue to release on PlayStation. They're going to continue to release on Switch. And what's crazy is that I think at the end of the day, Nintendo is going to be the biggest beneficiary, because we're going to get Xbox games, PlayStation games, and Nintendo. Nintendo is going to be the only console where you can play every IP.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, considering all the doom and gloom we've heard and went through. Going back to even the GameCube era, with it being, a lunchbox, or looks like a Fisher Price toy, to then the Wii U and the crash and burn there. I mean, if you've been a long-time gamer, long-time Nintendo fan, we've seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I'm sure we all remember the day when Sega first released games on a Nintendo console, and it was like, well, this is so weird, dude.
Weird.
Yeah, like when Sonic came to GBA
Mhm.
with Sonic Rush, and then like we got Sonic Adventure. It's like I was just playing this on Dreamcast, man, and now I'm playing it on GameCube, the director's cut. This
Mhm.
is so weird. But it seems like, to me, this is the direction we're going in, where Nintendo will be the only place where you can play all the games,
Mhm.
which is just wild because, and I say that because I don't think Nintendo will ever release their games on other consoles. That's my opinion. But I want to know what you guys think, because if we all think that Switch 2 is going to get Microsoft and Sony games, then the only thing they could change is that. So do you think Nintendo games go to another platform, or do they continue to do what they've always done, which is the hardware is really important to them? Sandstorm, what do you think? I'll let you
Oh
kind of
man,
go with this first.
it's funny because I literally just put this down. It's like, if you really think about it, and this is what I was just saying, is that the biggest differentiator between all the other PC handhelds and everything else that's out there is, yeah, they get all the games, but they don't have exclusives to themselves. Like all those games you can find on every other platform. That solely is the biggest advantage that Nintendo has. You're not getting their games anywhere else. I think they die on that hill. They would rather crash and burn before Mario touches anything else. So, but that's why people buy them in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Is that you know that you're not going to see I mean, outside of emulation and all that other silly stuff, you aren't going to see Mario on a PlayStation console doing triple backflips next to Kratos. The only time you're going to see that is in Super Smash Brothers. You know, it's one of those situations where I think they've been looked down upon for the longest time, but they kind of had the strategy in mind that regardless of what the industry decides to do as a whole, this is like who we are. This is what we represent. And even though they've switched CEOs and moved to new bosses and everything, that idea and that mindset has stayed the same. And like lo and behold, law of diminishing returns is in full effect, and everybody's like, well, we don't have any new ideas to push anything graphically wise, so like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So I definitely think, yeah, Nintendo's never. I'm 99.99 repeated with an extra 9 at the end, sure that they won't put on to another console besides iPhone, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, and I would like to mention that too, because obviously, yeah, there's the whole cell phone market, the mobile market, right? And of course, back in the day,
Mhm.
prior to them releasing anything on mobile, the mindset was that they would probably never do that. However, there was another mindset out there that if they did, it's not like they're going to release like, Nintendo games on there. Like a way to play regular Nintendo, an
Mhm.
official way. It was always going to be, if they do, they're going to create specific mobile games that you can only play like on mobile, like they have done.
Yeah.
So, but even that, I don't know. I would never see that with another console,
Mm-hmm.
right? I just don't see Nintendo releasing their IP anywhere else ever. And again, that's like a hill they'll die on kind of thing. That's
Mhm.
It's not how they operate. It's not. Eric, what do you think?
I mean, I'm never going to say never, because there may be stupid things that happen that will force them to eventually do it. But I mean, they're going to fight tooth and nail to not. I mean, Nintendo's going to do everything in their power to keep their own games their own. I mean, one of the things I could maybe see would be releasing like a Nintendo box on a PC type of thing where they design their own PC app type of thing that can run some Nintendo games. But that's even pushing it, I think, for them. But that'd be, I think, the first step towards, going multi-platform type of thing with their games.
Yeah, you bring up a good point to a PC in that, again, PlayStation releases games on PC now.
Mhm.
So that's an important thing to factor into all of this because Sony doesn't see Nintendo as a competitor.
Mhm.
So why then wouldn't you release your games on here if you don't?
Mhm.
If you're doing it on PC, why wouldn't you do it here?
The only reason I could see, just to play a smidge of devil's advocate, is if they're planning to release their own handheld, which has been rumored. Because then they might go, well, if you want these games on the go, we got you with our own stuff.
Mhm.
But the thing is, is that going to actually increase sales? Or do they think that's just going to be PS5 owners who already own the games buying another platform so they can play them on the go without worrying about internet access and stuff, like with the Portal? I feel like, Microsoft is obviously in a completely different position than Sony. Like, we went over themselves, 3 million in sales last year. Like, that's not what Sony's doing. Sony's doing significantly better than that. But I think what people forget, Sony doesn't make money when they sell their hardware.
Mhm.
It's sold at a loss. Every sale of a PlayStation is a loss until they buy games. And when your own exclusive games that help make your platform sell are also not making money or barely making money, it's telling that, while Sony makes a ton of revenue, their margins aren't fantastic in the gaming space. Most of their revenue, by the way, is coming from third parties. It's Call of Duty. That's why they were fighting so hard in court. Call of Duty is a massive yearly moneymaker for them. It's huge. They can't lose Call of Duty. They can't afford to lose Call of Duty. Like, people act like just because Sony makes the most revenue in all of I think they do. I think they're still ahead of Tencent. I think they make the most revenue. Their margins on that revenue aren't great. That's not profits. The best profit margins in the industry is actually Nintendo because they spend the least amount of money to make the money they do.
Mhm.
Nintendo's profit margins are utterly insane. The whole industry wishes they had those profit margins.
Mhm.
Besides the companies that also have them or have them better. Like, if you're one of those Fortnite, Epic Games, stuff like that. Like, if you have one of those games, your margins are even better. That's great. But it's super reliant on keeping that one game relevant. Whereas Nintendo could just release another Mario, another Zelda, another new IP, and you go, like, I saw one of our old friends in Thunder Session chat talking about how, Princess Peach Showtime flopped. Sure, and I bet you Nintendo made a profit on that game.
Right.
Yep. Do you think they gave Princess Peach Showtime? Like, they weren't treating that like it was a big AAA game. That was made by a C team, and it had a very tiny budget, and it only had to probably sell like 100K units to be profitable. Over 1 million. So, that's the thing. That's Nintendo's strategy. They don't waste their money. They make money on everything they release. They sell their consoles for a profit. They sell their games for a profit. Like, everything is profitable for Nintendo. It's insane. And every company wants to be that way. They're just not. For their own various reasons, they bet in different ways. They bet in the big AAA. We got to spend $800 million to make a game, which, okay, I'll admit GTA 6 is a game that probably should spend that kind of money because they know that game's going to sell. Look how much they sold in the past, right? So, but there are games that could justify that, but there's only like a few. I mean, Nintendo is a company that owns the Pokemon IP. They own the trademark, guys. They own Pokemon. I know they don't own all the rights to everything, but they literally own the trademark. Nothing happens to Pokemon unless Nintendo says it's okay. And the thing is, it's one of the biggest IPs in the world. Does it look like they're putting a lot of money into those games? Does that look like a 200 million budget game? No. And yet they go on and sell 15, 20, 25 million copies. And they're selling them now for more money than they ever sold them before. It used to be $40 a pop. Now it's 60. It's going to be 70 here on Switch 2. And they're probably going to still sell the same margins. Because Nintendo doesn't spend the way that some of these companies do. So I've been talking about this for years with Sony, and people always get mad at me. Oh, you're just console war. I'm not. Go read their financials. All you're ever quoting me is revenue. Look at the profit margin. It is really bad. Nintendo's making more profits than they are, selling less. Less revenue, way more money made. Yes, Sony's own CEO came out and said the margins are horrendous. That's why they started bringing their stuff to PC. Because the margins suck. They are so heavily reliant on third party. What, God forbid, if Call of Duty gets unpopular one day, Sony's going to be in more trouble than Microsoft. They got all these other studios with games.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft will be fine. They're already out of the hardware game at this point, basically. Sony is so reliant on third-party games selling and making them that 30% cut they make on all. By the way, they don't just make that 30% cut in the initial sale. They make that 30% cut on all the DLC you buy. All the purchases, all the microtransactions. Sony gets 30% of all of that. That's what they're reliant on. And the funny thing is, we talk about how, well, they need those first-party games because that's the value of the system. Go look at the history of PlayStation. Every major system seller that's ever pushed them to astronomical heights were third-party.
Third-party.
It wasn't their own games. In fact, their own games sell significantly worse than most of the third-party games do. And even when they have a huge hit like Spider-Man 2, they spent so much money to make it, it ends up not really mattering. And do you think that following that up with a flop like Concord looks really good on that expense sheet out there? They can't afford to have a game flop because they're just trying to break even out here. So you're like, well, that adds value. You're right. If you're a PlayStation fan, yes, you put a lot of emphasis on it, but you know what game's going to be the biggest system seller ever? Call of Duty and GTA, and neither one are games that they have any control over. Why does everyone think PlayStation sales are going to bounce back? They've been literally declining for 2 straight years. Why do people think it's going to bounce back? Because GTA 6 is coming. It's not because of whatever Sony's putting out.
No.
Sony's in the midst of putting out their best games ever on PS5. They finally started getting to their PS5 exclusives. They stopped putting things on PS4. They dropped the PS5 Pro. Sony always ends their generation strong and releases their best games towards the end. We're in that part right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Sony's in the home stretch. They got like 2-3 years left on this thing before they're dropping PS6. They're in the home stretch. You're going to get the best of Sony. And GTA 6 is what's going to sell their system, not their games.
Yeah.
People are looking at this incorrectly. Sony is not reliant on their first party to sell their system. You want proof? The thing sold nearly 20 million in its first year without a single first party Sony game, cracking 5 million. Let that sink in. They sold 17.21 million without a single first party Sony game, cracking 5. Why? Because they only had 2. And the biggest one was Returnal. They don't rely. Nintendo releases something you can only play on Nintendo every month. Sony's lucky to get 2 to 3 out a year. People aren't buying PlayStation for Sony's games on the whole. They're buying it because that's where their friends are. And their friends are playing Madden. Their friends are playing 2K. They're playing Call of Duty. They're playing Among Us. They're buying it for the third-party games. And I feel like because console wars are such a thing, there's this denial that Sony's openly admitting publicly is real, that the PlayStation brand is devalued if you take their games off their system and put them elsewhere. Well, they're on PC, and they play better on PC. Has it devalued PlayStation? No, because they're not reliant on those games. Their PlayStation's not selling due to those games. They released Spider-Man 2. The system sold an extra 500K units. Congrats. Nintendo dropped Tears of the Kingdom. They sold an extra 3 million. They're not playing the same game. Nintendo built their system on, you buy our system to play our stuff. And we release so much of it that you don't have to buy anyone else's games. And you can be perfectly happy. Imagine you're a PlayStation owner and you only bought Sony first-party games. What the fuck are you playing most of the time? You just don't play games for 9 months a year? Of course you do. You're buying indies. And then you might go, well, they have these partnerships. Okay, great. And you know what those partnerships have told them? Square Enix just said in a meeting last year, we ain't making enough money on Sony. We can't be doing this anymore. The third parties are now saying it ain't good enough to just be on PlayStation. Listen to what the companies are saying. They are saying PlayStation alone is no longer a viable strategy. That's the third parties that make Sony all the damn money. So now that those games are going to start releasing on other platforms in the future too, we're not just talking like, okay, Rebirth, yeah, it's sold all it's going to sell on PlayStation. But guess what? When Part 3 drops and it ends up on Switch 2, Xbox, PC, and PlayStation day one. You don't think that's going to affect PlayStation sales of that game? Now that people don't have to buy it on PlayStation? The game's probably going to sell overall more, but it might sell less on that platform, which means Sony makes less money. GTA 6 comes to Xbox, comes to PC, comes to Switch 2 if it does.
Mm-hmm.
Sales are going to slow down for that game tremendously because people don't have to buy PlayStation to play it anymore. Sony is so reliant on these third-party companies. That's why they hate this buying out culture. They hate all this because now the future is not in their hands anymore. They invested all this money, billions of dollars into these video games, these first-party games that are absolutely incredible, and I love them, and they're amazing. But they're not profitable. They're not selling PlayStation. They're trying so hard to. Astrobot gets all this credit, won Game of the Year, and it was a budget game, and they didn't spend a lot of money on it. And it was like, yeah, Sony, congrats, you made a budget game that was probably profitable at 1.5 million sales. You thought that sold a lot of PlayStations last year? Do you even know anyone who bought a PlayStation to play Astrobot? I bet you know someone who bought, not last year. It was kind of a weak year for Nintendo, but when Mario Wonder came out, a side-scrolling Mario game, I bet you know someone who bought it to play it because the sales got bumped. The sales didn't get bumped when Astrobot dropped. The sales kept declining. That's what I mean. The companies aren't playing the same game. Microsoft already accepted we're third party. We failed. We can't sell our hardware the way we want. We don't even talk about sales numbers anymore. We're not going to ever tell you what the lifetime sales are anymore. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You can figure it out if you pay attention to all their financials, what it is, but they're not making it big because it's not good. What are they focusing on now? Look how much money we make. Look how much in the green we are. Because they're multi-platform.
You know what's wild to
Sorry, so you can go.
Oh, my bad. I was just gonna say, what's wild to that is that both of those companies even wish they had the lineup that Nintendo had anyway. Because I think we always talk about, the main face hitters, your Marios, your Zeldas, Fire Emblems, Animal Crossings, Mario Karts. But most of the time when you talk to Nintendo fans about what games they want to see on the system, 9 times out of 10, they will give you at least 3 games that Nintendo has not touched in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even if Nintendo had problems with any of those other sales, it's like, well, we could just drop one of these and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna go buy these. Like, you don't get that from Sony. Like Sony
F-Zero 99 trend, F-Zero 99, not even a new F-Zero really, trending on social media.
Yeah.
A franchise that no one really cares that much about. It's why it's not around. And yet they drop that and it's free on NSO and everyone's like, this is amazing. Yeah, because there's not a game like it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only game like it in existence. And it's good and it's quality, and they kept updating it, which no one thought was going to happen.
Yeah, they can do that with anything. It's just that's their strategy. Their strategy set them up for life. They set up for early retirement way back in the day, and now they're sitting back collecting.
And for those that think their strategy is just reliant on old IPs, they keep dropping new ones.
Yeah,
Astral Chain, they paid for that to get made, right? New IP. They basically, they don't own Bayonetta, Sega does, but they're the ones keeping Bayonetta alive. There's rumors that Platinum might be working on another one. What system do you think that's for? Who do you think's footing that bill? Splatoon. That thing was founded on the Wii U, the biggest failure system ever. Look at how well that game sells today. Just look at it. Nintendo's ARMS. They tried with ARMS. It didn't do as well as they want. I guarantee it was probably still profitable.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing Nintendo figured out a long time ago, that this chase for graphics doesn't equal making the most money. This chase for, we got to release super powerful systems and sell them for a loss so people can actually afford them, maybe isn't that great of a deal. maybe we should be a for-profit company and sell things for a profit. And instead of chasing what the industry trends are doing, because, hey, during the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, everyone wants to make all this money chasing it. Everyone thought it was so realistic. Metal Gear came out. Look how real. Okay, cool. And what happens when that chasing goes too far? Today is what happens. You're spending way too much money to make your games. People are getting laid off like crazy because they don't sell enough. Companies like Ubisoft, which we could talk about all the other issues. Bottom line is their game sales aren't good. And that's why they're basically going under. They're on the fringe. They're worth next to nothing. And they're going to sell for pennies on the dollar probably at some point this year to 10 cents or something. And I don't know that 10 cent, like the reason it hasn't sold yet is because Yves Guillemot is trying to convince 10 cent to let him stay in charge. Yeah. And 10 cent is probably looking at the books and being like, why the hell would we let you stay in charge? You're the reason that you're for sale in the first place. Like, they're looking at the books and being like, why the hell would we ever want you running this company? That's probably why the sale hasn't happened yet, because 10 cent's like, we don't want you. Like, here, get out. And I'm not saying 10 cent's a great company. They're not. They're a profitable company. They make money. Everything they do makes money. So like, and by the way, I know this sounds like I was just trashing on PlayStation. I'm not. I think PlayStation makes incredible games. Love their platforms, love their games. Third-party games are sometimes even better on their PC because they're better optimized. I love it. PlayStation's amazing. It's not a knock on Sony. It's Sony themselves saying they're not making enough money. And they're not saying they're not making enough revenue. They're saying they're not making enough in the margins. They're talking about profit. They're not talking about revenue. PlayStation, if you look at their financials, their profit overall, this is overall. This is counting all their subscribers, counting the third-party sales. It's not great. The margin is not great. Their margin of what they spend to what they make is not great. And it's only gotten worse this generation than it did last generation with inflation and making the money worth less. So the money is being worth less and people are spending less and buying less. PlayStation 5 is not trending ahead of PS4 anymore, guys. It's trending behind. The hope for Sony is that GTA 6 turns it around. Because I have to say it's just a hope. We don't know. We assume it will. But what if they announce? They already announced it's coming to Xbox and Xbox Series S. You don't have to spend $450 to play the game. You can spend $300 and buy a Series S. Now, it's not day and date. We all know. I think it's PS5 first. Xbox, I think, later next year. But still, if people already know that, well, hey, if I own an Xbox, and if it's announced for Switch 2, oh yeah, I was planning to buy a Switch 2 anyways. And that's also cheaper than the cheapest PS5. And I could play it on the go without having to buy a second device. I'm just throwing, and you get all the Nintendo exclusives on top. Like, I'm just throwing out there that Nintendo is kind of old school. They have an old school strategy. Games, sell systems, but they keep proving it. And I know I saw some people in the chat being like, well, Microsoft made a smart pivot. They did. For their company, it was a very smart pivot. Very smart. They made the same pivot Sega had to make. Sega it wasn't working in the hardware space. Hard pivot. Absolutely. Microsoft did it in a much bigger way because they're a significantly bigger company. But yeah, that pivot made sense. And I'm not at all suggesting Sony's about to make that exact same pivot. No, they make too much revenue for them not to. But they need to find a way to make that revenue profitable. And there's really only two ways. The only way they've talked about is bringing their games to other platforms. That's Sony saying that, not me. They said it. Now, they referenced computers. Their words were computers. People summarize that to mean PC. All these devices are computers. You're assuming they only meant PC because that's what they've done. And then they did Lego Horizon and they didn't bring it to Xbox because it wasn't worth the money to port it to Xbox. But they thought it was worth it to bring it to Switch. A platform on the way out, by the way, that's still almost selling as well as PS5 in year 8.
That's crazy.
Like if you go look, yeah, PS5 outsold Switch last year. Barely. And it was Nintendo's worst year. They didn't release any must-own games last year. Nothing to turn system sales around. Nothing. Like, they had some good games, absolutely, but none of those were must-own, like Tears of the Kingdom was, that turned the sales around for a little bit. And yet they still almost outsold PS5 in a year that PS5 had its best year ever in terms of game releases, because people aren't buying PS5 for their games, their exclusive games. And they know that, and they see it in the margins. They see it in the sales. So my whole thing is Sony only talked about one way to fix that. And that way would be bringing it to where gamers are, PC, and the only other platform that's really selling well, Nintendo. Now, setting that aside, the other way, and this is the way they should be thinking, stop spending $200 to $400 million to make a fucking video game. That's the real problem. But Sony, it seems like allergic to not doing that. That's really what they need to do is stop spending so much. And you would hope that they would have learned with Astrobot, small budget, you made a profit. Yeah, but 1.5 million. Does anyone think that that's making Sony feel like that's the way to go? Like if Astrobot sold 10 million, oh sure. It sold 1.5. It sold enough to get a sequel. Well, I don't think they view that as, oh, that's viable. Like if we cut the budget of the next God of War to 60 million, it's still going to sell as well as the last God of War. I don't think they view it that way. They're going to spend more on, let me see. I'm trying to think what do they have announced this year, Stash? I know they got a few games announced this year.
Sony?
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima 2 is a big one.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So let's stick with that one. Let me look at how much did the original one sell, the first one? Lifetime sales here. I'm kind of curious. I know they publish sales data, so okay, so 13 mil. All right, 13 million.
That's it?
Does it say between 10 and 15?
Wow.
Yeah, they sold 13 million, right? This sequel, they've probably spent minimum 250 mil to make this game. Minimum. They might sell 10 million because I think it's going to sell less than the original because PS4 was more popular. So it sells 10 million. Nintendo dropped a Mario Party game that they spent 15 million on. And it's going to sell like 15 to 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not see the problem? Sony is spending a shitload to try to get to sales. Nintendo gets spending very little. Chasing a very specific direction the way Sony has led to them being so reliant on third parties.
Sony's calendar is so...
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I lost him.
You cut off their Stash. Sony's calendar.
I was just saying, it's just so bare right now for first party games, and that's I will say though, that's totally normal. What's that?
I said it's also year 5 and it's bare. This should be the prime.
Yeah.
It's but for this time of year, like right. Obviously we know about Xenoblade, in March, and then after that, for first party, we don't know. So obviously, like, I was making my video.
Yeah, Metro Prime 4 and Legends Arceus. We technically know about those two.
Yeah,
but Nintendo also announced a direct and a new system, so like there's a whole thing coming.
Yeah, but like if you look at even if you look at Switch and Xbox and their first party games that are coming out this year, I know of more on Xbox for first party, which is wild. Because Microsoft hasn't had a large output, but I know more out there than I do for PlayStation.
To be fair, Xbox
doesn't mean
their output.
I know, but it doesn't mean that obviously PlayStation is not going to get a ton of great games. It's just their first party games. There's a lot of TBAs. One of their first party games is a PSVR 2 game, which is the Midnight Walk. It's a game I'm looking forward to, but
probably won't be profitable.
No, I don't think so. I really don't. But they can count on me to buy it. I'm going to buy it, but that doesn't matter. I don't matter in the grand scheme of things. They need to sell a lot to make some profit, and there's just not. If you guys look it up, you'll see. I mean, even in my 2025 most anticipated games video, there was almost 60 games on there.
Yep,
but if you look, like, you won't see any Sony first party games, come to think of it. I didn't think of it much when I was making the video. Yeah. Like, there's just great games everywhere. So, it's going to be fun, but yeah, when you drill down,
when we have this conversation, guys, like I know some people in the chat are like, oh, Sony will never do this. Like Sony's a for-profit company and they said they want to increase their margins.
Mm-hmm.
You have declining hardware sales. You have declining profit margins. You have third-party games selling the worst they've ever sold. Your own games aren't turning things around. Yeah, that's why they brought their games to PC. And that's exactly why they're probably going to bring some, not all, to Switch too. Because they want to make money. It's called seeing the forest for the trees. If you think they're going to never do that, they're only going to ever bring late ports to PC, an occasional day and date release, and then everything's exclusive PlayStation, while things are declining and not actually doing well for them. Like everyone that thinks PlayStation's on top of the world does not look at their financials. One, they're not. Nintendo's on top of the world. PlayStation ain't the number one console anymore. And I know that's really hard for Sony fanboys to accept, but you're just not. The PlayStation 5 hasn't even reached half of the sales that Nintendo Switch has. And then by the time it might finally creep up to 100 million, Switch 2 might almost be at 100 million. Like, this is the reality we're living in. What Sony's been doing is chasing the same thing that sunk Ubisoft, the same thing that has sunk so many of these studios that have closed and caused all these layoffs. Sony's been doing the same thing. They've only gotten away with it because they make 30% cut on all those games. But as less AAA games come out and less games, sell huge numbers, Sony also makes less money. You have to look at their financials. There's a reason when PlayStation 3 came out the gate really poor. They couldn't sell. They couldn't get the thing to sell. A lot of dumb reasons that led to it. All their own creation. But when that happened, Sony closed one of their headquarters and let go of thousands of staff because their systems are so reliant on that third-party revenue that when you don't have the sales there to get that third-party revenue, they're in the red. Nintendo was in the red for a solitary year, and it was barely in the red. Barely. We're talking Wii U, 3DS, heart of Nintendo selling dog shit. And they were in the red barely. It was like $50 million in the red for $1 billion company. You think they were worried about closing things down because they had one slightly off year? When Sony had 2 off years with PS3, their gaming revenue was in the red. $3 billion. Billion. Not 50 million. Sony is they run their company in a way that most of these big companies do, right? They take out loans. They keep their margins relatively in check because it lowers taxes. Okay. A lot of companies run this way, but there's a risk when you run this way. That risk is you have to still find a way to be in the green or you default. Sony, as a company, has the same money in the bank as Nintendo does. But Nintendo doesn't owe anyone any money.
Facts.
Sony is in a much more... Like, if PS6 tanks... Talk about the Xbox division almost getting sold off. Sony could be forced to sell PlayStation. I'm not making this up. This isn't Nintendo fanboy shit. Look at their financials. Mm-hmm. PlayStation, for all its revenue, because their spending is stupid. It's stupid how much money they spend. They spend all that money for all that revenue. They're more fragile than Nintendo is because Nintendo doesn't owe anyone anyway. They can't default on anything. Sony comes out with PS6 and let's say it has a really bad first 2 years and they're in the red, they might default on their loan. And it doesn't help that Sony, in their most recent big purchase was Bungie, and that was looking like a mistake. That looks like it's backfiring big time. If you guys pay attention to what's happening at Bungie, It's looking like they massively overpaid. They haven't made their money back. Everything's flopping at that company. Like, I hate to make this like a Sony shit fest, but they have to make an about turn. I don't think the about turn is going to be. I think them bringing games to Switch 2, by the way, doesn't fix it. I think it just
prolongs it.
Yeah, kicks the can down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Reality is they need to cut their spending, and they're just not, for some reason, willing to do it. I'm hoping that Astrobot's a sign they're willing to do smaller investments in smaller games that can make profits. I'm hoping that that's a sign. That's what I'm hoping. I think a lot of people are kind of hoping that, as I want Sony to stay around. I want the PlayStation to exist. I want them to still have these amazing games. But I just don't think they need to make those kind of games. And I know that Strike Juck, you're sitting there saying it's factually wrong. You're arguing against the CEO of Sony. He's the one saying it. So if I'm factually wrong, then tell that to the CEO's face who said the margins suck. They're not good enough.
I'd even say this. You're talking about when you're talking about Sony and buying Bungie, and I know a lot of Sony fans do this a lot. Like, oh, the reason why it's down is because they bought Bungie. But like, think about the last time Nintendo bought another studio. Were they in the red that year, or did they still make profit that year? And I'm pretty sure, was it Level 5? Was it? No, not Level 5. What was the one with the one with the white alien head? Who made Luigi's Mansion 3, I want to say.
I think that was Next Level.
Next Level. Yes.
I'll double check.
Yeah.
And the year of the Switch, once again.
Next Level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nintendo wasn't in the red then. We didn't have that same excuse. They bought a whole nother company too.
Yeah. But they also don't spend as much. They seem to make smarter purchases.
They make smarter purchases. They don't go out and that Bungie, we laugh at the Bungie thing because it was right after the tail of the whole Bethesda, or was it Bethesda or the Blizzard, the whole Blizzard thing.
Oh yeah.
And to me it was like, you know, Xbox got this, you know, took the girlfriend, you know what I mean? Like, you got Call of Duty being on Sony platforms, you know, first, and they get all these exclusive stuff, and then Microsoft's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take your girlfriend, and then Sony's like, you know what? I'm gonna take your ex-girlfriend, and then it was like, so, and now it's like, I knew why they let you go now. I knew why they let you go. I don't even know why I paid for you. But it's just it's funny to me that it's like, I've never seen fanboyism to this level where people have this mindset that like, yeah, Sony's all right. No, it's okay because they're still doing great. You know, we're still getting these games, and I think somebody said in the chat, like, no way that a Switch 2 is gonna be as powerful as a PS5. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be at this point. Like, as long as Switch 2 gets the current architecture and it is in the ballpark, the dome, the galaxy of the PlayStation 5, and they can run all the current engines, it doesn't have to be. Those games are going to come over, and the biggest take from that in the first place is that all those developers who like sat on Nintendo throughout the Switch's life and like scrambled the last minute and was like, oh crap, we gotta throw something. You know, even Bandai threw out Ace Combat. Like at the end of the at the end of the life cycle, like Ace Combat. Those are the guys who are like, not again. We're not doing that again. Like I guarantee you, this time around, EA, I think maybe Jack or somebody said it in the chat, but like Madden's gonna come at some point. Like we didn't have a Call of Duty, we didn't have a Grand Theft Auto, we didn't have a Madden, and yet the Switch still sold as one of the greatest selling consoles of all time without the need of one of the most well-known franchises, one of the top 3 most well-known franchises.
It was on the top 10 best-selling games this year. Madden, Call of Duty, college football, all these games that are not on Switch but will be on Switch too, which is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Even if you don't like these games, is what I've been telling a lot of people, is that this is still a big deal because it really helps to build out the install base, because now people can play these games on the go which is a huge selling point. And the bigger the install base, the more third-party games we're going to get, which is great. It's a great thing for everybody involved. So,
Yeah. All right. I think we can get to the Q&A. We got, if you guys want to super chat in your questions, you absolutely can. Let's see here. The first one that we had come up here was we started off with that 50 right off the bat. Thank you so much for the support for the show. How likely do you think it will be that we see Street Pass in Switch 2? You personally hope so. With a Tamagotchi Life 2. It's the dream right there.
Yes, it is.
But is it likely? That was a question.
Yeah, I know. That's
Not is it a dream?
It's. I don't think it's happening.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely. But man, oh man, if we could get a Street Pass 2 along with their own version of some kind of Miiverse, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah, I don't see it happening because I don't think people can be trusted. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say
crap
because the
posting.
snappiness of the OS.
That too, but you got to police that. If you put something like that in, now you got to police it. If you put in stuff like Street Pass, I just don't know how safe that is for everyone in the world, for kids.
How was it when it was around? Because I had a system, but I wasn't into it. Like, was it not safe then?
Some might say the world's not as safe as a place as it used to be.
COVID changed a lot.
Yeah, I would say it's not as safe as it used to be. I don't think I'm a very positive person by nature, but being realistic, I don't know if the world is getting better with each day. The quality of people as a whole. Like we always talk about simpler times, right? You look back at like the 50s, 60s, 70s, simpler times. Seems like a lot's changed now. Got to protect the kids now.
Yeah, that's true.
Got to keep a close eye on that. So I just kind of look at it that way. As far as I'd like to see us get some sort of like social aspect in there, though. I think that's important. I just think it would be something that is not quite as open as Street Pass and Miiverse, with people able to like draw pictures and stuff. I mean, imagine the posts that we see like every day on social media. As an adult, we can handle it. Like some of the stuff you read, and you know how to like kind of channel your emotions and not get too emotionally involved and not get too heated at what some people may say or don't say, whatever. But imagine that on a Nintendo platform now. It's like, that might not be a good idea. That's where I'm at. Gave you a long answer.
You know what's interesting? Because someone in the chat was saying that like I was wrong about Sony. I was just going over the recent financial documents. They actually had a net loss last quarter in their gaming segment. I can give you the exact number if you want. It's in millions of yen. I gotta convert it.
That's really gonna affect Street Pass.
So
just kidding. I'm just playing.
It out there.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and they actually had a loss, so not a profit. I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't look that up before. Now, getting to the question, I think Street Pass is I really want it. I think it's awesome. I think enough people travel around with their Switches that it can be viable. It can, they could partner with hotel chains and all that stuff, that McDonald's again, and because they still work with McDonald's for Happy Meals. They can get that all going again with the Wi-Fi networks and everything. I think it would be incredible. I mean, they could even partner with a phone company if they want, bounce off cell phone towers and stuff. I'm not saying that means the Switch would have, the ability to, like the Vita back in the day, but your cell phone plan.
Get some free long distance minutes with it too.
Free Wi-Fi through AT&T, through Verizon, so you just have like a network partnership like that. I would love for it to come back. I also think if it comes back, then you have to put another emphasis on Mii's. And then that's when you start talking about Tamagotchi Life 2, like the person wants. So I would love to see it happen. I think Nintendo's obviously gone in a different direction and is probably not going to do it. We can't even get an eShop that doesn't run on a web browser. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold out hope. I hope it happens. I want it to happen. It was good times.
Mhm.
It was very good times. We had a free Metroid hat. Using a member chat here saying, Nintendo, if you see this, give us everything on Switch 2, or I will have to send you a real Metroid in the mail.
All right then.
Give us everything we want. All of it.
I believe he'll do it.
Every last bit. Okay, let's see here. Next. Free Metroid hat then did a super chat for 10 and said, I have been playing Metroid Planets, an awesome fan game in the style of the NES Metroid, and has a Metroid Maker like mode in co-op for up to 10 players and lots of quality of life stuff as well. That sounds amazing, but now that you brought it up publicly, it'll be shut down next week by Nintendo.
Oh,
Yeah, don't be bringing up fan games on a Nintendo channel.
at least call it something fake.
Yeah, you should have said. Yeah, Nintendo hates fan games, man.
Yeah.
We don't, as cool as that game is, you really don't want it to get attention.
No.
Yeah.
And Metroid has more of a history with that too.
Yeah,
compared
they
to
don't.
others.
Yeah, they do not like Metroid fan games. So,
Correction, you were playing.
before you lose access to that game forever. Next, because. Question: do you guys think Doom: The Dark Ages on Switch 2? Yeah. It might not be day and date. You know, I'm not going to go that far and like guarantee day and date. But yeah.
When does it come out?
May 15th.
May 15th.
I think it does.
Okay.
Bam boom. After the live stream's over, rewind and go back to what was it? Topic 2? Was it?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. Go to topic 2 for all the predictions that we have for the big Switch 2 launch direct on April 2nd. But we touch on all the games that we think are coming to Switch 2. You'll probably like it.
Yep. And if you don't want to like sift around, if you wait like 16 hours from now, there's a person who's going to put timestamps. They do it every single episode. Shout out to them.
You're right.
Eric, why don't you look up who they are quick?
Huge
They deserve a shout out. They literally do it every episode. I appreciate it. I use it for the clips.
I was already ahead of you on that one.
Like I pin it every week.
Yep.
It's awesome. You know what's funny? Almost every podcast that gets like kind of big has someone who does that. Like, you know, you ever watch like the WAN show from Linus Tech Tips? There's someone in the comments that does it every single week. I appreciate it. It saves a lot of time for a lot of people. So
That's
getting there,
especially on longer shows. Matt Haladel just did the $2.77. That was to make me drink that beer I drank earlier.
That would be Raven Bonnie 2267.
All right, thank you, Raven Bonnie 2267 for that work. Jorge FT says for SNK, King of Fighters, or City of the Wolves for Switch 2.
all the above.
Yeah, I expect it.
Yeah,
Fighting games just do so well on Nintendo platforms.
King of Fighters,
Even if it's not the competitive area.
Yeah.
Fatal Fury City of Wolves looks nice. I was watching some in-depth videos on it like 2 days ago, sitting there on Best Buy's website debating, do I pre-order the deluxe edition or do I wait for maybe Switch 2? What do I do? I hope it doesn't sell out because the deluxe edition looks sick. It looks like a Neo Geo box. I'm like, game looks good, man. I hope it comes to Switch 2. Have you guys looked into it at all?
no, I'm not big into fighters or any of that stuff.
Dude, man, we used to always rent Fatal Fury when we rented the Neo Geo.
Okay,
Always rented Fatal Fury. So much fun. Love that game. It's very nostalgic for me.
So are you picking up is it the DLC? Is it the DLC for Street Fighter? Is that what it is?
Yeah, where they're adding Terry Bogard and stuff.
Yeah.
no, those rumors out there that Tekken 8's coming to Switch 2. Those rumors out there for that. Yeah,
That would be nice. I like Tekken on Nintendo actually.
yeah. We'll see what happens. And look, as long as we ain't getting Mortal Kombat 1 treatment, all right.
Oh gosh.
Right.
That
And
was
that's
on
more
purpose.
proof.
That was on purpose.
I'm not worried about it on Switch 2, but
Like we talk about a lot of games, like if they can run on Switch too, but like the question, that's not the only question. The question is also, will they? Just because they will run doesn't mean they will be on Switch. But I think Mortal Kombat's an example that any fighting game companies just will do anything. If it runs, it will be on Switch. Yeah, Mortal Kombat just did proof of that. And yeah, so other games, it's will they put it?
Fine now, but the state of it at launch was that.
I mean, it still looks like a piece of crap.
It's Switch.
I know, but
we're playing a 2D top-down Zelda game with frame rate drops. Come on, I mean, Nintendo's games are starting to have frame rate drops. We gotta just be real here, okay? Nintendo's ready to move on. Kartkun, Switch 2 reveal will show the final version of the online playtest game.
Oh, forgot about that.
Oh, it could be like a Miiverse or Nintendo on system game. Yeah, I remember we talked about that back when it was a thing last summer. I don't know what Nintendo's plans are with that. Obviously, it seemed really fleshed out for it to just be like a demo for, hey, we're working on online. We wanted to test it. No, if you watch the videos out there, which are, you got to know where to look because Nintendo keeps taking them down still. Because Nintendo said that game, you cannot post video. They're still holding people to it. They do not want videos of it out there.
They're on my hard drive.
Yeah,
my own gameplay.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And they never said you couldn't do local recordings. You just can't share them.
It's for preservation in case this game never comes out.
I think this game will come out. I think it was really well received by the people that played it. They actually put time into it. They got past like the intro. And I think obviously maybe it wasn't ready, or maybe that won't be the final visuals of it. Those could have just been stand-in visuals or something. But I think they were experimenting to have their own sort of service game, but be part of NSO as an NSO exclusive, and like a massively multiplayer NSO exclusive game. I think they're messing around with that, and they wanted to make sure their servers can handle it before Switch 2 comes out. I think that's what it was all about, but I don't know. So yeah, that would be kind of neat if they revealed that. I wonder how many people watching would recognize that that's the game because Nintendo kept deleting the footage.
Right.
But yeah, I would like them to do that. I think that again is Nintendo. If they ever release this, that is again Nintendo taking a risk, trying something new. They do this. They do this every gen. They try new things. Doesn't always work out, but they try. And lucky for them, they can always fall back on old reliable, like a Mario Kart at launch for the first time ever.
Yep.
Dude, that's huge. They've never launched a system with Mario Kart. Imagine. It's their biggest, best-selling franchise. Jeez. Guys, I think Switch 2 is going to be very hard to get for a while.
I think so too.
If Mario Kart's truly a launch game, and it actually is like really, really good, good luck.
Yeah.
Kartkun. Wait, no, we did that one. Sorry. We had 5 gifted memberships as well by Demonic Brawler earlier. Thank you so much for gifting the memberships. I do appreciate that. Adding people to the board of directors of Nintendo Prime. Thank you so much. Demonic Brawler then said, "Bring back NFL Blitz and NBA Jam."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
You should super chat this every single show until they do it. You don't have to spend $5, just $2 to get this in. $2 once a week to let the people know we want these games back.
I wonder if we started an online petition to, have the NFL cancel the EA contract, how many signatures that thing would get?
Millions.
Yeah.
No. Just the exclusivity part.
Right. Yeah. No,
all you gotta drop.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let other companies make NFL, and you can make arcade games. Let other companies make sim ones. Basically, we're saying let 2K cook for once. Yeah, they might actually try in a game.
Yeah.
They've been resting on their laurels too much. Force them to have to beat someone. That's what they did back in the day, and they sold that game for $20.
Yeah, it's horseshit that we don't have these games. You guys, everyone knows how I feel about these games. Obviously, I have a very long history with NBA Jam, and I have both the games. I have both the arcades in my house, and I think it's a real shame that all we have for football is Madden, and all we have for basketball is 2K. Monopolies suck.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to stay in their own corners. Like, you Just as long as you don't go to football.
Yeah, we'll stop
We're
making
okay.
NFL 2K. You guys stop making NBA Live. We got a deal. Exactly what happened,
Now, to
because
be fair,
there's no
I want to be
competition
fair.
now.
The NBA thing is not an exclusivity license.
No.
No.
EA
it's
just
not.
kept making bad games.
Yeah.
EA did it to themselves.
What?
They just kept making bad
No,
basketball games.
never.
And then 2K made good ones. And now 2K rests on their laurels because, EA tried to come back and the game still sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, they forgot how to make good ones because they haven't made one in a long time. And then there was the so the NFL one, that's an exclusivity contract. We know that. Like that just sucks. Dude, Madden 2005 and whatchamacallit,
2K.
2K 5.
Mhm.
Dude.
Yeah, I know.
That was peak for both.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Because they were competing with each other.
Yeah.
So like we were getting legitimately good, multiple good NFL games. I mean, even way back in the day, there was Madden and Quarterback Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the old quarterback club. With
Oh, yeah.
Brett Favre on the cover.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
run left with them. You can't tackle them.
Yeah, and that
You know-
99, yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys know EA owns the license for NFL Blitz and NBA Jam.
Oh yeah, I know.
They own it. They bought it. They went out of their way to get it from Midway,
Just
and they
so
don't
you
do
can't
shit
have
with it.
Yeah.
Just so you can't have it anymore.
Terrible. They released one Blitz game, and they released NBA Jam on Fire Edition,
Yep.
which is fantastic. And that was it. Nothing done with these IPs.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. This is
Yeah.
why EA is always getting voted down as the worst third party.
Does is MLB The Show? Is that no? That's not exclusivity. No, they just made a better version than 2K and put them out. I think.
MLB? Well, that's
Yeah.
why it's on all platforms, because I think the MLB was only handing out the license to make a simulation baseball game
Yeah.
to one dev.
Well, because 2K was around while the show was coming out, but then they just
Yeah.
stopped. I don't remember if that was a contract reason they stopped or if it was just they weren't selling them out good enough.
I think they want to improve the quality across the board of the baseball product on video games.
Sure.
And not
by
they
the way,
could do it
MLB
if they weren't dolling it out to everybody.
The show still to this day, in my opinion, is the game that hasn't fucked it up yet.
But I agree. So I think they made a good call. Honestly, I think that was a really good call.
And now it's forced to be multi-platform, so we all get the gold standard. So it's great.
Exactly.
Great. It's the way it should be, honestly. But yeah, I love when this comes up. This has come up in multiple podcasts. I want this to keep coming up every time.
Make it happen.
Yeah, dude. One came in with a $2 super chat, said, "Forget it. They have theme parks now. Theme parks. Yeah, Nintendo does. Yeah,
They're
Nintendo is
solidified.
other ways to diversify their money. One that I forgot to tag and I can't feature is from Demonic Brawler as well for $2. He said Switch 2 gets PS3 on NSO before PS5 does on PSN. I don't know. That's the one. I don't know if Sony will ever hand over NSO with their retro systems because they have their own subscription service that has the retro systems on it.
True.
So I think that's like the big bugaboo there. I think for someone like when Sega came over, I do expect other Sega systems to eventually come over because they don't have a sub service for it, and they probably get some margins on some of the expansion pack stuff. And I feel like this is the path that you get Atari, come back, you get the Neo Geo. I think Nintendo's going to target a lot of these other companies that don't do consoles anymore. Now, if you want to argue there's any chance for anything, it would be Xbox someday, like the OG Xbox potentially getting added once they're kind of out of that sort of game. Now, yes, Microsoft also has their own service for that stuff, but how popular is it when they can't even get their system to be popular? So
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I think Sony already offers a service that offers those things. So I just don't think they're gonna mix that with Nintendo. It would be cool though. And I guess when you say PS3 before PS5 wouldn't be added to it for another 15, 20 years. Because you assume PS6 will be backwards compatible, so then they won't put it on the service. So that's like, toss on another 8 years there. And then by the time they have the balls to say, all right, PS5 is not part of the service, like, okay, I'm going to be almost dead. So I might not care at that point. I hate to think about it, but I mean, other things worried about. Oh, they finally added PS5. Yeah, with none of its exclusives, they could have just put PS4. I'm not going there. That's fanboy talk. Can't go there with none of its exclusives.
I argue that the PS5 is in the same boat as the Wii U and the GameCube in some aspects. You will never get to see the full potential of the system, and by the time you do, they'll be ready for the next system.
Yeah, I think there might be maybe a game in the final year, maybe one, and that happened with PS4 as well. It was like Ghost of Tsushima, like final year. Here you go. Look what this thing can do. And then you look at it and you're like, dude, this is so fucking great. And what did it do? Oh, all these games on PS5. They don't really look any better than what we just got with Ghost of Tsushima. Why do we have a PS5? It's like people are still saying that to this day. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah. By the way, I'm not saying we shouldn't have a PS5. I'm saying Sony did this is the problem chasing graphics. You hit a diminishing return point where the general public doesn't notice the 4K. They don't notice the 120. They don't notice the ray tracing because things were already so good that it's less. I know, by the way, I love this stuff. I got a 4080 Super in my computer. Man, I love this shit. But man, it's just most consumers. That's not why they buy systems. All right. And I think we have one more. Let me double check. Yeah, one more here. Boo Mini came in. Can Thunderstash Gaming please auction off some of his Nintendo collectibles, such as the original NES and SNES? Those aren't that expensive to buy online.
Boo's funny. She was saying in chat, like, hey, where can I buy? Well, first, Boo asked me a very funny question. She asked if I own a regular Nintendo or Super Nintendo. It's like, Boo, is that a real question? Like, are you messing with me? But she asked, where can I buy a Nintendo or Super Nintendo brand new? I was like, I mean, 1985 and 1991.
Yeah.
Be your best bet.
Yeah, brand new.
But she was looking on eBay to try and find it brand new.
Oh,
it's like, yeah, obviously it gets really expensive. So
if you did find one, it's going to be stupidly expensive.
Does anyone know anywhere else for Boo?
In box sealed? There might be some auction places.
New? No.
Brand new?
I mean, I don't obviously. The NES Classic Edition is always good.
If you want,
add games.
If you want, I can buy a used one. Clean it up real nice, like, and
recap it for you.
Recap it.
Recap everything. Yeah,
that's the thing, Boo. Is like some of these used game stores that are like the mom and pop places. They'll sell you a Nintendo. Obviously, the shell's not going to be new, but they'll do their absolute best to refurbish it to the highest quality by recapping it, and it'll be very clean, and your games will work. I mean, I have my original Nintendo from like 80, probably from 87. I got my top loader still. I mean, I have all of them. I'm not going to go through them all, but they all work. Point is, they all work. They work perfect.
I'm surprised. So I'm seeing sealed ones for like 2,500, 3,000. It's a lot of money. It's not more.
Yeah, it's a lot.
If you're gonna buy a new, then turn around and buy.
There's just not that many out there.
What's the Chrono Trigger? Buy Chrono Trigger new too.
Yeah, factory sealed. Hey, I'm still hoping, guys. This year's 30th anniversary. Give us something HD 2D, baby.
I would love that.
Oh,
they're doing it with everything. It's all the rage.
It would look so good with that game too.
It would look really good.
It looks good in every game. To be fair, it's like I know some people think that it's getting overdone, and I get it, but it's getting overdone because it's good. It's good.
Square's been quiet.
It's not overdone until all of them are done. That's
exactly.
I agree.
Come back in that style. Period.
Well, I mean, think about it, guys. Just honestly, just think this one thing. If Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 are getting HD remakes, which are excellent. Dragon Quest is an excellent series. I love it dearly. But if they're getting HD 2D, what makes you think Chrono Trigger wouldn't?
That would be amazing.
I mean, it's a more beloved game. It's held in
People might
the
argue
highest stature ever.
because they
right?
don't make new Chrono Triggers anymore, but they still make new Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
I do think in the general
that's the
public,
only argument I
Dragon
can
Quest
think
is more relevant, but
Yeah, but this wouldn't be new. It's not. It's an
But
HD
people- but
2D remake.
I brought that up because that's like the only argument, and it would just be because like, oh, well, new Dragon Quest fans might want to try out the old ones. There's not really new, Chrono Trigger fans and stuff.
Listen,
That being said,
if
it should
you're-
happen anyways.
There would be. I mean, there would be like dude,
if you
people,
did HD2D, yeah, you can make some new fans.
people adore Chrono Trigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's timeless.
Yeah, people today
Literally.
that haven't played it, like anyone watching and listening who hasn't played it, like find a way to play it. It's so
Yeah.
good. If you like RPGs, it's so good.
Yeah, one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, possibly
Mhm.
the greatest for some people. It is
Mhm.
for some people.
It is top tier.
It is an injustice that it is not on the NSO right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think someday, but
I think there's a reason for that. But
yeah,
that's
I
where
do
my
too.
hope is with that.
I do too.
that's what I hope so too.
I would say along the lines of that, just real quickly, if you're going to do that in HD 2D, since Square Enix has finally realized its wrongdoings, please, oh Lord, please give me Xenogears and an HD 2D as well.
Yeah,
I gotta imagine that might be on the table.
it's got to be on the table.
We're getting all the greats. Like we're getting Suikoden HD this year, which is huge. We're getting all the PS1 games. We're getting Lunar.
Nice.
I don't see why we wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Biddy comes in, and I think this is the last one we have. It says, "How about for Ace Attorney 7 announcement?" When was the last new Ace Attorney?
I feel like not that long ago.
Ace Attorney series. Let's see. When was the last one to come out? Last one came out in so we had the Apollo Justice. That was a collection though.
Oh, okay.
The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Is that considered a new one? I haven't played all of them. That's a compilation. Nope. Okay. So, man, how long has it been? Holy shit. They've been doing all these compilations.
Right.
Okay, Spirit of Justice, maybe? Yeah, that was 6. That was Ace Attorney 6. Yeah, that was the last brand new one. That was in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's get a 7. Enough of the compilations and collections and remasters. Let's get a new one. It's time.
Huh.
They've kept the series relevant with the compilations and remasters. It's time. Yeah, that's a great call. I didn't realize it's been since 2016. Holy
But I
crap.
feel like they just like show them real quick in reels, and you're just like, oh, new Ace Attorney. You just automatically assume.
Someone said Phoenix got disbarred. Maybe that's the new game. Yeah. He's got to get out of disbarment. Oh man, that's a great call, dude. I hadn't because they did have 2 recent collections over the last 5 years, but those weren't new. That's wow, man. Yeah, dude, we need 7. I need that objection being yelled in my ears yesterday. Damn, good call on that one. All right, that's all the super chats we have right now. Let's go around and let people know who we are, where they can find us. And I guess that's really about it. Eric, who the hell are you? Where can they find you?
I don't even know who I am anymore. And I'm found here. That's pretty much it.
I wish you had a home.
Where else am I?
Yeah, he lives here. See that seat? He just never leaves it.
Yeah.
I wake up tomorrow and he's still here.
hi.
I'm like, get your fingers out of my face. What the 5 fingers say to the face?
Yeet.
That is not the. All right,
I know slap, but
well, everyone knows about Rick James going. Rick James, bitch. Sandstorm. What do you got going on? Where can they find you?
All right. I am Sandstorm McDowell. You guys can find me on the Sandstorm Show Rebirth. The reason why there's a rebirth there is there's a whole story that we don't want to get into. But we do podcast every Saturday at 7 o'clock. We talk about Nintendo and all the other companies out there for gaming, news and good and bad and all the funny stuff in between. So thank you guys once again for allowing me to come on. I really appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Nice
having you on. We'll have to get you on again.
Absolutely.
You have the sign up schedule there. You just let me you just let me know.
All right.
Andrew. We got going on, bud.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at @the_Andrew Show. If you really want to see my updates on if I'm going to get accepted into the Nintendo Switch 2 experience event, I'm on the wait list, baby.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I clicked it right when it ticked at whatever 2:00 Mountain Time. I was ignoring my wife, everything. I did it whatever I could, so we'll see if it worked. But
ignored my wife.
I'm true story, and yeah, I had to because it says first come first serve. But anyways,
that's a good battle. That's a good battle.
Yeah, so you got to pick your battles, and I picked that one. But then my YouTube channel, The Andrew Collette Show. We got Astro's Playroom releasing this Saturday, and February is going to be a good month. 3 videos. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Stash.
Yep. You guys find me on YouTube at Thunderstash Gaming. Twitter's at Thunderstash_YT for YouTube. What am I working on? So I'm playing a game that 2 games that are coming up for embargo the first week in February that I'm going to be putting out videos for. And they're games I'm excited about. One of them is a spiritual successor to one of my favorite games on regular Nintendo, which is crazy because, I mean, we're talking decades here have passed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I was just like, this is wild. I'm so excited. So that'll be really fun. And the developer sent me something in the mail as well. And so I'm going to open that at the end of the video, which should be fun because I don't know what's in there. I truly don't. So I'm excited to see what's in there. What else? I think once I get through that, it's time to start Dragon Quest. I've also been working on all my indie reviews. This has been like a week-long project. So I have like 20 indie games I've reviewed on the channel. Surprisingly, I didn't realize it was that much. But I went back and I've converted them all now to written reviews because they're on Indie Mania's website now. I have a review section. There's a review section on there with my reviews.
Nice.
So yeah, I've never worked with websites. I've never built one or anything or done any of that. So I've been learning how to do that. And so it's been a lot of new learning stuff this past week that's kept me away from the actual playing video games. So I'm getting a lot of maintenance stuff done this week, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it. Outside of that, I'm just making sure I keep my body ready.
Oh, gotta be.
Heck yeah.
At all times.
Yes, sir, Reggie.
Yes, at all times. Always. All right. Well, you guys know where to find me at this point. I'm Nintendo Prime. Literally Nintendo Prime everywhere, or Ninty Prime. I think that's what I technically am over on X. Yeah, I do Nintendo news, rumors, leaks, and just like speculation, discussion videos. It's funny because people sometimes get mad at me like, why don't you do some more original content? My channel says what it is. It is what it is. You're either into what I do or you're not. It's all right. You can also find me doing hot takes on Sony apparently during a Nintendo podcast. So my fault, man. I extended this thing like an extra half hour that didn't need to be extended. My bad. I got a little too into that one. That being said, you guys can check me out everywhere. Switch 2 is hype. That's what we got going on. Trying to slide my way as well into those Nintendo Switch experience. Didn't get it in the first wave, but maybe I got lucky in the second wave. We'll see. Trying to slide my way in. We'll see what happens. I already got stuff planned out for PAX East as well because I kind of figure Switch 2 might be there because it's going to be around launch time or just before launch, either way. And it's after all the Switch 2 experiences here in the US. So I'm a firm believer Nintendo's always there. What else are they going to be advertising in the middle of summer? Come on.
Another Mario Kart experience.
I guess Metroid Prime 4. You know what? If it's Metroid Prime 4 demos, I'm all for that too.
I mean, yeah.
Like that's dude, I'll take that. Switch 1 Metroid Prime 4 demos, I'll be all over that. So, or maybe it'll just be what it was the last PAX East I went to, or it was just, hey, here's some Mario Kart. I'm like, why am I playing Mario Kart?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I did sign up for the wait list too.
Mm-hmm.
I set an alarm on my phone. I was at the computer.
Yeah.
I had my laptop open, my desktop, and my phone to, refresh.
Oh yeah.
And so I got signed up for all of them for every slot.
Oh yeah.
That's all the states. So
yeah, you select every slot and you just, why would they let me select every slot when I first signed up? Would have been nice.
Yeah, it's obviously so we can get in.
What day it was, just every slot. Just give me a time and a day. I'll find a way to make it work.
Right?
Yeah, I don't care what time.
Yeah,
I just want to be there.
But Nintendo's like, no, you got to sign up for a specific time. I'm like, no. Waitlist, I get to sign up for everything. Why couldn't I do that the first time? I probably have a much better chance of getting in.
Yeah, right.
But whatever, it's fine. Anyways, yeah, find me everywhere on this podcast. By the way, it's live every single Wednesday on the Nintendo Prime channel, also on Thunderstash Gaming as well. It's live over on X as well. Might still be live over on Thunderstash's personal YouTube page. Oh, is it your Thunderstash game? There's Thundersteve 85 Gaming Facebook page.
Live
yeah. Live on the Nintendo Prime Facebook page as well. We're also live over on Twitch. Sandstorm had us live over there as well as live on his channel too. So, like when guests come on, they're always welcome to stream this right back out to their audience. We literally do not care. It's something I never talk about with them, and I never discourage it because I don't care. This show is everyone's show. It really is. It's everyone's show. All the guests, anyone can have it if you want it. I don't really care. We like to give around here. All right. You can also find us everywhere podcasts are heard. We have our audio version of this that goes up usually the day after the live show. And then we have the Nintenbyte Podcast Clips channel as well, where I usually get up a couple, two or three clips or so. Try to. Anyways, I didn't last week. It's been really inconsistent. I'm going to be honest. If I ever hire Eric, it's the first thing he's going to do is manage all the fucking clips. It's time consuming. And then we have a funny comment coming in. Just for fun. This guy's banned on my channel, so he doesn't get a chance to. I dealt with shit with him for years. Yeah, and I had my fun, and then it just kind of got old. But I'll bring it in just one time. Risky. Featured on my channel. Right. Switch 2 might flop harder than Wii U. Remember, he's a self-proclaimed Nintendo fanboy, a bigger Nintendo fanboy than all of us.
Yeah, first a Nintendo fanboy first.
Yeah. All right. That's a great way to end the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you same time next week with I don't even know if there's we have some people scheduled next week. I'll figure it out. All right.